Now we're on. Cue the music. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this incredible live stream for an incredible set of films from the incredible animation studio that is Pixar. Guess what the series is called? The Incredibles.
Fantastic Four?
You could say that. You could say that. Yes.
Well, so yes, The Incredibles is a master.
Lee, I'm
Shyamalan.
Yeah, hush. I haven't finished yet. So yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I've got to do the intros first. Bear with me. So before we get to Lee, I just want to say that this will be a reflection on both the Incredibles films. So that's The Incredibles from 2004 and the latest film, The Incredibles 2, which has come out this year and is still out in the cinemas. So go and see it if you haven't seen it yet. It's brilliant. I'm joined by Harry, Jack, and Lee. Sadly, Alan is not with us for some reason. But anyway.
Yeah, where are you, you bastard? Only joking.
Leave him alone. Get back to me at some point. Anyway, so let's begin with the original film, which came out 14 years ago.
And it came out the year I was born.
Yes, so babies first. Lee, what do you think?
Babies first.
What do you think of The Incredibles, the first one?
I think it is absolutely amazing. I love the idea. I love how Pixar, they tried to poke fun, but also is being a superhero movie. And I like how it's so it makes fun of the old classic superheroes, like the ones you'd see nowadays. You wouldn't see them with a cape or with a mask on, like how one of the Incredibles would look. But I like how it has a good the concept is really cool. It's really wacky. It is a wacky, because if you look at it, it's kind of like an old classic superhero movie. But for me, I think it's one of Pixar's best. Wait, is anyone there?
Yeah. I'll say, except it's about a family.
Yeah, but it's cool because it's a family, and you don't really get much things that focus on a family. And I like how Incredibles, it has, and I'll talk about this when I get to the sequel. But I like how The Incredibles, it has it's a great story, and I like how it the comedy is the best aspect. Where's my super suit? And especially the scene where they're at the table, and it's just fucking hilarious. But
don't forget,
I like how Robert got to fix a table, and now I have to fix a car. Wait, car? What happened to the car? But no, I think comedy-wise, Incredibles is amazing. But I do love The Incredibles, and I'm going to give it a 9. The reason why I give it a 9 is because I think Syndrome, one of my issues in what I said about Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender Season 1, he's quite whiny, and he's quite annoying. I thought the exact same with Syndrome, is that he's kind of I'm not saying his design is bad, but his design's just really, really just
Does anyone else think that Syndrome's hair looks like Jedward?
I don't know what the hell Jedward is.
Honestly, his hair looks like it's on fire. It's that ginger, and the way it's greased up as well.
Your hair is on fire. I mean, you think that Jedward were inspired by The Incredibles? So, Lee, is there anything else you want to say?
I'll continue, I think, but I think, I do think, the character of Syndrome, I just thought he's annoying, but I just when I rewatched it for Incredibles 2, I just couldn't stand him. He's just really, really just shut the fuck up. But I love the other characters. Sorry?
Now you can understand why Bob didn't like him to begin with. He was annoying. My name is not Buddy. Anyway, so I guess Lee has finished with his thoughts. So
yeah, I am. I'm going to give The Incredibles the seal of awesomeness, and I'm going to give it a 9. But Yeah, so Ollie, you decide who talks, and
Yes.
yes,
Can I
I
go?
shall
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
want.
I can do the hosting, Lee. No problem. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
so let me see. Jack or
Me?
Harry? Do
Can I
do
go?
do 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 do. Well, Jack, if you want to go, if Harry doesn't mind, then yeah, sure.
Um. Okay. Yeah. The Incredibles. Well, I think The Incredibles is a great film. I remember seeing it back in 2004 when it came out in cinema. Um, and it was a great experience. I mean, for me, The Incredibles is one of the best Pixar films up there. With the original Toy Story trilogy, Finding Nemo, and Monsters Inc. Those are probably my favorite Pixar films. But this is just a great film. I mean, I agree with what Lee said. It's a great kind of homage to like the classic superheroes. Like it sort of begins in like I guess you could say like a 1940s like sort of thing. Um, uh, like yeah, I mean it's quite interesting that but yeah, I mean I think the beginning is really good, like where you've got Mr. Incredible with Elastigirl, like they're fighting crime and all that. And I like the scene where he's driving in his car and he gets like suited up and there's like there's this like pursuit, like the police are going after these robbers and he gets this like there's this old woman with a cat up the tree and he's trying to get the cat from the tree and while he's doing that he manages to throw the branch in front of the car that's getting away. Like that made me laugh. Like that was a good scene. um and I think I prefer Mr. Incredible's like original suit, like the blue suit. Like it looks quite good on him, and like as you could see, um, back then he was quite he was quite physically built and stuff. So I mean that's interesting. But I mean talking about the rest of the film, like I think the characters are all great. I mean I think Mr. Incredible is great. Like Bob Parr, he's really funny as well as probably being the strongest of all the superheroes. I mean Elastigirl's great too. Helen Parr and all that, and Frozone played by Samuel Jackson. Like that made me. I mean, I didn't know it was Samuel Jackson as a kid when I watched it, but I mean, now it's quite recognizable his voice. But I mean, the scene is what's that sound?
Oh,
Like,
sorry, it's probably me. I'm eating my dinner, so I do
oh,
apologize.
I thought someone was clicking in the background. Um, but anyway, I mean, I think the beginning is really good, like where we see, Buddy, aka Incrediboy, like that made me laugh. He's like, "Oh, Incrediboy, I'm your companion, Incrediboy," and he's like, "Buddy, it's like I should be telling your mom about this. You should be going, um, you need to go back home or whatever." But I mean, yeah, I mean, Buddy, I can understand about Lee's like problems. Like maybe he finds Buddy a bit annoying, but I mean, I think that's kind of the point of the character. He's supposed to be an annoying kind of like fanatical nerd type character. Like he's like, he's just this annoying kid who's just obsessed with Mr. Incredible. I mean, I do kind of feel bad for him though, like what happens like, when we see Mr. Incredible go after Bon Voyage. Like, that's a good pun. I like the pun on the names in this film.
Oh, Bon Voyage.
Yeah, Bon Voyage.
Yeah,
And
actually, whatever happened to Bon Voyage? Because we never see him get caught, and we don't see him die. So,
yeah,
what happens to him?
they could bring him back in the third one if they do
He'd
that.
probably be really old.
Well,
He'd probably be the main villain of the next one.
yeah. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I think the beginning is really good. And then of course, Incrediboy comes, and I mean, from there you can, from the beginning, you kind of see he's quite intelligent, like he's made these rocket boots or whatever. But I mean, you kind
Do
of,
you think that's very weird when at the beginning Elastigirl says, "I think you need to be a bit more flexible." It's just like, oh god.
Yeah, saucy.
yeah, yeah, no, but that scene was good, like But I mean, you kind of feel bad for Buddy because I mean, he just wants to help Mr. Incredible. He just wants to be his sidekick, kind of like Batman and Robin. Like he just wants to be his sidekick, and he's like, go away, Buddy. I work alone. And then there's that scene.
Well, yeah,
Like,
Jack. At least they didn't call him Dick.
yeah. But yeah, I mean that scene is quite good. Like where where he flies away and then Mr. Incredible goes after him and he jumps on him and he's like, there's a bomb and he's like, buddy, wait, and then after that, he has to stop the train and he, earlier he sees that guy from Suicide, like he crashes that guy through the window. But I mean, yeah, that scene as well on the rooftop was quite good. Where he's with he gets the guy and then Elastigirl's like, I got here first, and the burglar's like, no, wait, pal, the lady got me first, and she just like knocks him out. like that was funny. And then he manages to get everything done by the time it turns out he's like going for a wedding, and he's there with Elastigirl. But it's interesting, like after that, the headlines, like the guy, he wanted to kill himself, and he's being sued by this guy. He didn't want to be saved, which I kind of find a bit weird because I thought suicide, in the USA and in the UK was illegal. Like surely he couldn't sue Mr. Incredible, and plus, he saved your life for fuck's sake, like be a bit more grateful.
I kind of agree with that because like I think like the whole superhero illegal thing. I feel like Incredibles 1 and 2 feel like it's a two-part story. It kind of feels like a two-part episode together. Like the superhero is legal. It kind of sets up what could happen in the next one.
Yeah, but I mean, talking about also you get to see like the lawsuits. Like they get sued for they get sued because of saving those people on the train. They got injured, so it seems like these people are quite ungrateful to the superheroes for some reason. It's like for God's sake, I mean, even if you're injured, he saved your life. He saved the train. He saved you from killing yourself. But I mean, I do think like the stuff afterwards, like where it's set 15 years later, and it's like he's at Insuricare, like Bob Parr, and he basically.
I'm not happy, Bob. Not happy.
Yeah, I mean, it says 15 years in the film, but on the Blu-ray, that bookmark it says on the screen, like for the chapter selection, 15 years later and 50 pounds later. So, I mean. Yeah, obviously he gets a lot fatter in the 15 years, and I do like the scene where he's with the old lady, and he's like, oh, I could tell you all these legal loopholes, but be quiet. He's like, no, I pretend you're crying. He's like, sorry, ma'am, I can't help. And she's like,
I know you're upset.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, Bob's boss in this film he's an arsehole. He is a real arsehole. Like he's like, he's like that scene where he's in the office with him, and he's like, do you know what a company's like, Bob? He's like an enormous clock. He's like, yes, like an enormous clock. He's like, they all have to, all the cogs have to be working, and they have to mesh together. And and then he sees this guy getting mugged, and he's like, will you listen to me? He's like, Bob. He's like, that guy's getting mugged. He's like, who cares? And then he's like, he got away. He's like, well, it's a good thing too. You're that close from losing your job. Throws him through the wall, like through like 5 walls. That kind of made me laugh.
He's Mr. Incredible.
Yeah. But I mean, I think the rest of the family agree. Like Elastigirl, Helen Parr, like we see that she's trying to like fit in her, her kind of role as a stay-at-home mum, and you've got Violet, like she's like kind of shy and she has invisible powers, and Dash is quite, talkative, and he can run really fast. And I do like the scene. I do like the scenes like where they're where they're saying they're going for bowling, like him and Frozone, and they're like
I wanted to go bowling.
Yeah, and that scene where like Frozone arrives at his house, he's like, oh, ice to meet you. He's like, it's like, I haven't heard that one before. Like that made me laugh. And then when they save these people, like I thought it was funny, like when they save these people from the fire and they crash through the building, it's a jewelry store, so it looks really bad, and then the policeman comes in and like Frozone sees the water and he's like, now you've had your drink. He's like, yeah, I know. Freeze. Like like that made me laugh. But I mean it's also interesting as well. Like you've got the main story, like you've got Mirage. I mean she's quite interesting. Like we see that I guess she is like in a relationship with Syndrome, and she's been like sent there to spy on Mr. Incredible. And that scene is quite interesting.
Well, I don't know if they're in a relationship as such, but
I mean, it's kind of implied that way. Like when she's talking to him later, and he's like, "Hey, sweetie," or whatever. Like,
I don't think they're in a relationship. I think
Well,
and he's just hitting on her.
Well, it says on the Incredibles fan site that they're in a relationship, whatever. So, and it says it on Wikipedia. So I'll just go for that.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that was good. And when he's it's interesting, like when he's he's watching the message and he's writing down the notes, and like she's like hoovering, and he's like, "Oh, it's just paperwork. It's just paperwork." Like that made me laugh. And of course, you can't talk about The Incredibles without mentioning Edna Mode. Like,
darling.
Hello, darling. Like that just made me laugh. Like,
Yes, darling. Is very interesting.
Okay.
But this baby, I do for free.
yeah, but it just made me laugh. Like, I didn't know until recently it was Brad Bird who played Edna Mode, but it's like so funny. Like when he arrived, like when he's doing the workout, like the Rocky workout, and he gets the bigger car and all that, and he's like that. That was a good montage. And I like the music. The
the
yeah. But I mean, the scene where he arrives at her like her place to get a new suit, and he's like, "Hey, it's Bob," and she's like, "Oh my God, you've gotten fatter." Like that made me laugh.
What have you been doing, Robert?
Yeah, that made me laugh, and then when he's like, "Oh, I will not repair your suit. I shall make you a new suit," and she repairs the suit and makes the new suit.
Yeah.
But I find it funny, like, when he arrives on the island, like, there's quite a few references to Bond that I didn't notice till recently, like, the volcano island and everything, like the volcano lair and stuff. I mean, I think that's a reference to You Only Live Twice.
Yeah.
It's quite funny, like, when you got that funny scene, like, where he's, because he's fatter, like, he's about to go. They're sending him out to defeat the robot, and he gets stuck in the thing that's about to launch him. He keeps getting stuck.
Yeah, when he's in his old suit and it's really tight, you can see.
Yeah, and he gets stuck, and then later, like he's trying to get out of the capsule that lands on the island, and he can't get out, so he has to destroy it from the inside. That made me laugh. He's like, "Oh, it's showtime!" Like. But I mean, that fight with the robot's pretty cool. Like the way he gets it to destroy itself, like the claws and all that. Like it manages to destroy itself. And it's interesting, like how his family gets involved. Like he finds out that I mean, there was a pretty dark scene, where he like they think he's dead. Like he destroys a robot, and then you have the Syndrome return. Like that was a good scene. When Syndrome, like it's bigger, it's better. It's too tough for Mr. Incredible, like, and then you find out it's Syndrome, and he's like, "Oh, Buddy," he's like, "My name is not Buddy."
Yeah,
that made me laugh, and we see he's kind of become a Bond villain, like he's been selling his gadgets to the highest bidder, like, or he's like become an arms dealer.
Yeah.
But I mean, that scene was good, and I didn't notice this until recently as well. Syndrome, like I think Syndrome, like it's a joke on like like Asperger's syndrome or something like that, or just syndrome, like he's got a syndrome, like because he's so obsessed with Mr. Incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that's kind of funny.
It was.
Yeah. But I mean, he still is. But I mean, I think the where he he thinks he kills him, and then he comes across a Gazer Zone and like Kronos, and you see him use that as the he uses that for the password. And I have to say, probably one of my favorite scenes in the film is quite dark, like where he's going through all the records of all these superheroes, and it just all says terminated, like. And
you find out Syndrome has killed all of them, which is very dark actually.
Yeah, like the only ones that left alive are Frozone and the Incredibles. Although we will see new superheroes in the next film, but most of them are dead, which is quite a dark scene. But I mean, it's interesting as well, like where we see Elastigirl and all, like they go on the plane, and that's quite a tense scene, like where the missiles are sent after them, and he's like, no, like it's my family, like he doesn't reveal it's his family, but
yeah,
he's like, you could tell he's.
Well, he does actually. No, he says Helen, because he hears the voice message from Helen, and they say, "Oh, you do know these people," and then they send the missiles out because he reveals that it's Helen. with the kid.
Yeah, and then he thinks he's dead, and like, I mean, that scene is quite.
He thinks they're dead.
Yeah, he thinks they're dead. Yeah, Mr. Incredible, and it's quite interesting. Like that scene's quite tense, where she's like, Violet, make the force field, or whatever, and then
we weren't supposed to use our powers.
Yeah, and then when the plane blows up and they use Mrs. Incredible Elastigirl as a speedboat, like that made me laugh.
Yeah,
where she becomes a speedboat.
What a cool idea, actually, considering powers, and Dash sort of essentially piloting it. Well, not piloting and driving the speedboat. And Violet just had the easy job. She just sat there. She didn't have to do anything.
Yeah. But I mean, the scene after that is quite good. Like where where she sneaks into the island and like she gets stuck in the doors or whatever. Like that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
And she knocks the guys out. Like that was a funny scene. And the ending I think is quite dark. Like where we find out he's going to send this missile. Like Mr. Incredible finds out he's going to send this missile into the city, and use this robot to destroy the city, and then he'll deactivate it so it'll look like he's the superhero. But I mean, there's some good scenes as well, like where he, when he thinks his family's dead, and then Mirage comes towards him, and he grabs her, and he's like, I'll crush her in two, it'll be easy or whatever. And he's like, oh no, you wouldn't do it. He's like, prove it to me. And then Mirage, of course, gets upset later with Syndrome. Like she's like, oh, next time you do that, bet with your own life. And she kind of has a change of heart. She lets Mr. Incredible go, and
she helps in the end. She allows them into the computer so they can actually launch another rocket and get back to the city themselves, which is
I mean, it's quite interesting. Like like Mr. Incredible, like he squeezes her neck and then he hugs her afterwards, and then like Mrs. Incredible, like Elastigirl sees, and like she's like, he's like, you're cheating. He's like, how could I love anyone else but you? I mean, it's kind of funny, like. They kind of brush past all that stuff with Mirage after that scene. Like, I mean, she doesn't really talk about it that much, but I mean, Mr. Incredible has been a bit of a dickhead. I mean, he's basically risked his family's life. He's risked his own life, and plus, like she thinks he's having an affair with Mirage.
He was kind of deceived by Mirage Syndrome. And actually, you said about them brushing over the scene. Well, I guess on the way to the jungle, he probably says to her, he says, oh, she was helping me to escape. He hugged her because, his family were alive and he was happy.
Yeah, and I know, but I mean, he still like risked all their lives by joining the thing in the first place. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I think he would have told Helen on the way to the jungle when they were going out with their kids.
Yeah. But I think you got some really good action scenes here. Of course, like I like the action scene with Dash and those guys in the flying saucer-looking things, whatever they are.
Jungle cutters.
Yeah, the jungle cutters. They were good. That was a good scene. And Violet, like where she's using the force field to protect them all. And that was really great. And then after that, you got all the action scenes with Syndrome, and the final action scene in the city is really good. Although watching it back, the final action scene is shorter than I remember. It's only like 5 or 10 minutes, but the action leading up to that is good. Like where Mrs. Elastigirl's used, to hold the bus together while they're leaving the plane. He's like, you're doing a great job, honey.
Yeah. How you doing, honey?
Do I have to answer?
Yeah. That's funny. And I love the scene with Frozone. He's like, honey, where is my suit? And she's like, I take your suit away. You're not going out. And he's like, I need it. Like when all this,
I'm the greatest girl you are ever going to get.
Like when there's all that action in the city, that was really great. And the final action scene is good. He's like, he's wondering how to destroy the robot, and there's like they got the gauntlet. Like Syndrome is like trying to like he's trying to prove himself as a hero, but the robot shoots the gauntlet off him, and things go wrong, and the robot's arm gets detached, and Mr. Incredible uses it, like the rocket, to fly it into the thing and destroy it, which was pretty cool, I have to say. And I did like the bit where like the robot goes down to smash like Dash, Elastigirl, and Violet, and she's like, "That's my girl," whatever, like with the shield.
Yeah, the Jack bit.
Yeah. And the ending was great, like where we see Jack is like, they arrive back at their apartment and he's with Jack and he's like, I'm going to use him. He's going to become my apprentice. I'll be everything to him, unlike you were to me or whatever. And then like the ending is great, like, where like Jack, like he's bringing Jack up into the plane. And then, he turns into this like metal weight, and then he turns into this devil. And like he goes on fire, like that was hilarious. And then, Syndrome's like, "I will get your son. Don't worry, I'll come back." And then like Mr. Incredible like throws the car into the plane, and he's like, "Oh no!" And it's kind of funny because Edna Mode's like saying does come back to haunt Syndrome, like no capes, like she's like, "Oh, this guy flied into a tornado. This guy got killed," and then it turns out Syndrome's cape gets stuck in the in the wind turbine, so like the engine to the plane, like that's kind of funny, the way that worked out because he gets killed because of the cape in the end, but I mean, yeah, and the ending is really great, like where you got the kid from earlier and he's like, "That was awesome." And then and then the house is blown up and it kind of like ends there. So I mean, overall,
actually, no, does it? Aren't you forgetting one other character who appears at the very, very end?
Oh, the babysitter?
No, the Underminer.
Oh yeah, the Underminer. I forgot. Yeah, and then you have the ending, of course, with the Underminer, where they're at the football stadium, and this guy Tony offers to go out with Violet, and you have the ending with the Underminer. And I remember watching it in the cinema at the end, like where they all they take off their shirts to reveal the Incredibles outfit and put on the mask. And I was thinking, as a kid, great, I can't wait to the Incredibles 2. And we had to wait 14 fucking years. 14 long fucking years for the Incredibles 2.
It's an excruciating wait.
Yeah. And I mean, the funny thing is, like, I remember, like, at the end of The Incredibles when I thought, like, I can't wait for the sequel. And it didn't come for 14 years. But I remember they released the sequel video game, like, after the first film came out, like Incredibles 2, Rise of the Underminer. And I was thinking to myself, when the video game came out, I think the video came out like a year after the first film, and I was like, oh, I can't wait for the second one, because I thought if they released the game, they were going to release the movie. And like I said, we had to wait 14 years. Instead of Incredibles trilogy, we got a fucking Cars trilogy before we even got the Incredibles 2. Jesus. But I mean, yeah, that's the Incredibles, an incredible movie, and I'll give it a 10 out of 10, and it's my favorite in the series.
Awesome. Yeah, the series of 2 films.
Yeah.
Also, one other thing, Jack, you said about the end, obviously, because, their house gets destroyed, and then it's like cuts to 3 months later, which is the racetrack. Where the hell were they living for 3 months? Like, what? Where were they?
Were they in that motel in Seven? I don't know.
Were they in the motel, or, like, because... when I thought they were going to the motel after the Underminer incident for the first time, but
I thought at the end of the first film that when they destroyed the plane, I didn't think the house was blown up completely. I thought it was like just the plane, but yeah.
No, I think the house was destroyed, but as you said, Violet just protected them with the force field.
Yeah.
No, anyway. So, moving on to Harry.
Awesome. Brad Bird, you are one incredible director.
Payback, Harry.
Yep. He has directed some of the greatest family movies ever in existence, like The Iron Giant and Ratatouille, and The Incredibles is no exception.
And he's also worked on The Simpsons very briefly, actually.
Oh yeah, on The Simpsons, I can see why he brought his talents into that show. But of the 2 Pixar movies Brad Bird's directed, I like The Incredibles just slightly better. This is one of the most incredible Pixar movies ever made, period. And of the 5,
a lot of incredible puns here.
Exactly.
Why not?
I may be rehashing the expression "incredible" multiple times throughout my thoughts, since this movie is simply incredible. It lives up to its name.
Exactly, yeah, Harry. I mean, if you're going to call your film The Incredibles, there's got to be an element of delivery on that title. You've got to make something incredible. And I think we all agree that Brad Bird did just that with both films.
Imagine if it was called The Incredibles and it was shit. Then you could say it's incredibly shit.
Exactly. Incredibly shit. But thankfully, yeah, Brad Bird actually gave this movie something incredible, and this movie I absolutely love the opening interviews with Bob, Helen, and Frozone. When Bob's like, no matter how many times you save the world, it always manages to get back again. Can we keep it clean for 10 minutes? And Elastigirl's like, girls, come on, leave the saving the world to the men. I don't think so. And then the prologue is also perfect. It sets up the entire movie perfectly, from Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl's wedding to Bob rejecting his number one fan, Buzzy, and I guess Bon Voyage may appear in Incredibles 3, but I'd personally like the Underminer to be the main antagonist of Incredibles 3, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think Bon Voyage would be dead by then, or it'll be on walking stick. He'd probably be in an old folks' home somewhere in France.
Yep, he'd be in the retirement home for sure by then.
You're incredible. I kind of like that he only speaks in French. He doesn't actually speak English with a French accent. I just think that makes him kind of cool. But yeah, no, I think the Underminer is a more likely antagonist for the third film.
Most likely, for sure. And what I absolutely love about this movie is that it's not just a superhero movie. It's an original take on superheroes. It's not just, like, as Lee and Jack says, poking fun at the superhero genre, but it's taking it in a different direction. I love it answers the question: what if the world was prejudiced against superheroes? What if superheroes were ever banned to society and seen as a bad thing? Like Mr. Incredible rescuing that dude who was attempting suicide, and that dude was like, "You didn't save my life, you ruined my death." I'm like, seriously? He saved your ass, and you're suing him. And then you cut to 15 years later, and I love each member of this family. This is a family with relatable problems and struggles, and their powers define their personality. As Mr. Incredible has to be strong, hence his super strength, and Elastigirl, I guess she's stretchy, to manage her kids and her disobedient husband, and Violet, she's extremely relatable to me, as I was extremely shy like her, when she has the crush on the boy Tony Radinger, and Dasher, he's also suffering as a result of the superhero curfew, as he's so gifted, he just wants to go out for sports, but he's prevented from doing so, and we'll get to Jack a little later, but and Bob's boss, Gilbert, he's a dick, and fun fact, he's also voiced by the exact same voice actor as Rex from Toy Story, and when Bob just he's had enough of his boss's bullshit, and he just tosses him through 5 walls. Would you all agree that he deserved it? Yeah, he totally. Totally deserved it.
Sorry for being on mute, but I would agree that he probably did deserve it, but I don't really get, like, he doesn't allow Mr. Incredible to go out there and help him. You can kind of tell that in Mr. Incredible, he really cares about people. He just really them, but he can't.
I was gonna say, the guy who plays his boss, was he in Toy Story?
Yeah, he voiced Rex.
Yeah, the dinosaur.
Yeah, he was also in. I think the actor who played him was also in The Princess Diaries.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I noticed him there. Yeah, yeah, glad he's getting work, and you all, and then you also have Frozone, who is the kick-ass comic relief of the movie. I mean, especially in he has some of the most iconic moments in the movie when he's like to the cop, I know, freeze, and then especially the honey, where's my super suit scene, and greater good, I'm your wife, I'm the greatest good you're ever gonna guess. I'm like, yeah, I'm so yeah. Syndrome has some of the best moments in this entire movie, and also and as for Edna Mode, I'm like, how does this character not get more screen time? She's awesome. I'm like, if they do an Incredibles 3, she'd better appear in the entire movie.
Oh, they keep her out, I'm sure.
Yeah, fingers crossed, and yeah, and even Brad Bird gets to do some voice acting when he's like, "Yes, I know, darling," and her philosophy, "No capes," that kind of bites Syndrome in the arse later on. That quote, and as for the antagonist Syndrome, at the time he was my second favorite Pixar villain. No, scratch that. He was my favorite, literally, but now he's
if I may ask, is it the hair?
Oh yeah, the time oh yeah, not exactly the hair, but that could be a contributing factor. But at the time, he was my second favorite. Since I could, not only because he was the darkest and most ruthless at the time, he threatened to blow up Mr. Incredible's entire family on the plane just for rejecting him. But I also got his motivation to an extent.
Harry, he should have said he should have said bon voyage.
Oh yeah, bon voyage. I get it. Oh yeah,
Bob
as a reference, exactly. And oh yeah, I got where he's coming from. As he's a rejected fanboy, simply. You know, if I was, but he took it a little too personally and too far. If I was rejected by my idol, I'd also feel underwhelmed. But you know what? I'd put it behind me and
you'd think he would put it behind him, considering he's like a multi-millionaire who's much better off than Bob, who's got this giant volcano lair and all this great technology.
Well, if you think about it, it was from the rejection that he built all that. He proved to Bob that he was actually worthy of being his assistant. Bob just treated him like crap.
I actually like that line he says, he's like, I was wrong to reject you. I'm sorry. And he says, well, no, you're sorry because I'm a threat. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with Buddy. If Mr. Incredible hadn't treated him like that, he never would have turned out that way.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly, and that ties in perfectly to Mr. Incredible's journey and character arc throughout this movie. Bob must learn to overcome working solo, and when he's like at the start of the movie, fly home, buddy, I work alone. But by the end of the movie, he realizes he must never take his family for granted again, as he and the most underrated character in this movie would be Mirage. She's one of the most well developed of them, as she starts out she starts out on Syndrome's side, but after Mr. Incredible attempts to crush her, and Syndrome just is like, show me. she's like fuck syndrome. I never should have trusted him.
I think it's because he was the way he kind of set out to murder Mr. Incredible's family with the on the plane, and his attitude towards Mr. Incredible's sense of loss. He was like, "Oh, I knew you couldn't do it. You're weak, and I've outgrown you." That was when she felt sorry for him, and she thought Syndrome's a dick.
Exactly. She realized that he's a dick, and Mr. Incredible, he doesn't deserve this. So she finally sets him free. I love her change of heart, and she assists the family into returning to the city to defeat the Omnidroids at the end, and the action sequences here they not only has the animation for 2004, it has aged incredibly, but this is some of the best action scenes I have ever seen in an animated feature in general. I mean, from the plane sequence, which was extremely intense, to the fights with the Omnidroids. This is certainly one of Pixar's most epic movies, and this movie may have a 2-hour running time, but you never feel that. So there's always
Hey, Harry.
Oh yeah.
This or Amazing Spider-Man 2.
This is how you
question
do.
Is that?
Exactly. There's no comparison.
Yeah, there's no comparison.
Fuck you, Sony! You killed Spidey!
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
Rant
It
was
was
so
a
funny.
joke. Of course, Incredibles is better than Amazing.
Oh, wait, I have a
Spider-Man.
good question.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, who directed The Incredibles?
Brad Bird.
I thought it was
No, it was Alan Caylow.
it was M. Night Shyamalan. M. Night Shyamalan is amazing.
Yeah.
Tell me something I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Harry, continue.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sure. And yeah, this is Amazing Spider-Man 2. This is how you keep us. The Incredibles is how to keep you on your toes throughout a 2-hour movie. The pacing is but it's magnificent.
You sure you don't prefer Superman 4?
Oh no! Screw Superman 4.
Also, if you think about it, Harry, this film actually has 3 villains as well: Bon Voyage, Syndrome, and the Underminer. And it actually utilizes all 3 villains to the best of its ability. Unlike the Amazing Spider-Man 2, cough.
Exactly. Unlike that shit, this movie actually does something with its 3 antagonists, and
Well, funny enough, the Underminer and Paul Giamatti are both at the very end of both movies.
Yeah.
Although the Amazing Spider-Man 2, the ending, oh god.
Yeah.
The whole movie, oh god.
But don't get me wrong, I hated it when I first saw it, and I think now I like it, but I think it's just decent. But the trailer was pretty much the whole movie. Like, you could just watch the trailer and give it your review.
We'll do a hangout on those 2 films on another day.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, back to Incredibles. The first one.
Yeah, totally. Thankfully, the Incredibles trailer spoiled nothing about the final movie, and after the Incredibles successfully have kicked the Omnidroids' arse and rescued the city, you'd think the movie would conclude there, but no. Syndrome has literally infiltrated their house and has kidnapped Jack. But Jack finally reveals what he can do when he transforms into a monster, into fire. He has multiple powers. He has more powers than the entire family this whole time, and yet he was the one they presumed to be normal. And then Syndrome's death.
I was going to say, Harry, they don't find out until 14 years later. I mean, sorry, in the next film.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
14 years for us.
Oh yeah, exactly. As oh yeah, they never exactly saw Jack use his powers against Syndrome, so they still thought he was normal. But then but after Syndrome's death and the house is blown up and then the kid who's standing outside the house, he's like, "That was totally wicked." I'm like, Buzzy, you summed up this movie in a nutshell.
Wait, he's not Buddy. That's Syndrome.
Oh yeah.
My name is
Oh,
not Buddy.
Oh yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, my mistake. And then the cliffhanger to this movie, it's just Pixar's best cliffhanger to this date. When Violet asks Tony on a date to the movies and Dash wins at sports, but then you get the "Behold the Underminer" by Pixar legend.
And guess what? He's not even the main villain in the second film.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I actually think the Tony Ridinger subplot was actually really set up in the first one.
Yeah, each subplot was set up by the cliffhanger of this movie, and yeah, the Underminer, voiced by John Ratzenberger, Pixar a legend, and then that cliffhanger made me go, "Bring on Incredibles 2," and I had all this fan fiction as a kid about what the plot of Incredibles 2 would be, and I was like, the Incredibles 2 had better open with the family battling the Underminer, and 14 years later, sure enough. So Incredibles overall, Pixar has in the 2000s, Pixar had 3 classics back in the day: Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, and The Incredibles were. And The Incredibles, at the time, it was in my top 5 favorite Pixar movies, even though now I'd rank it as my 6th favorite. But this is still an animated classic.
What about Ratatouille?
Oh, yeah. Whoa. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. 3 years after this, Brad Bird would go on to direct Ratatouille, and 14 years later, we finally have the follow-up to this movie. So yeah, it is Incredibles.
Because nobody wanted a sequel to Ratatouille. Oh, no.
Not exactly. But everybody requested a sequel to this. Is Incredibles better than Monsters Inc.? Hell no. But then again, no Pixar movie is better than Monsters Inc. So overall, I'd rate The Incredibles 10 out of 10 and an incredible 5 stars out of 5.
Woo! 1 star for each family member. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, okay. As for me, regarding your last point, Harry, you're gonna hate me because I put The Incredibles just above Monsters Inc. in my ranking of Pixar.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. But opinions are opinions. Anyway. Oh, Nelson, where is he? Anyway, The Incredibles, the original Incredibles film from 2004, which in my opinion is the ever so slightly better film of the 2 films, but still the second is great. But we'll get to that in a minute. I really love this film. I grew up with
I think you and me agree on this one, unlike Harry and
yeah, I'm all with Jack on this one, but I think we all agree that this is a great movie. I mean, I will never forget the first time I saw this film. It was just such a wonderful experience, and to this day, I have never lost interest in The Incredibles, despite waiting 14 years for a sequel. I was always fortunate to have seen the first one. This is a great movie. It's a real, as Jack said, it's a real sort of homage to those old classic superhero films. It's like you kind of step into into an old comic book. You know, when they have all of the the sort of the words to emphasize the actions that they do, like the pow, bap, zing, woom. You know, all
speech bubbles.
Yeah, the speech bubbles. Yeah, you know what I mean. And it felt sort of like that. There was a nice homage to that, and I think the music also as well was sort of homaging that old classic jazz, feel, which incorporates that kind of old retro feel of the time.
It feels a bit Bondian, like the da 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 da.
Yeah, it does a little bit. I guess there is a certain James Bond feel to this, which is quite cool. I mean, I say as a kid, I wasn't into James Bond, so I never knew that. But watching the film recently, before the second one came out, I realized that. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that looks pretty cool, the whole stuff with the volcano and everything. But I really like the story and how essentially Pixar have chosen the emotional core of this. They've chosen to go with a family, choosing a family and calling them the Incredibles. Well, obviously they're known as the Parr family, but the film is called The Incredibles, and they are. I mean, it really is incredible. I mean, there's no pun intended. There's not really else you can put into words.
Oh yes, it was intended.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'll let you decide that. But no, I like the story and how I mean, it mainly focuses on Bob, of course, or Mr. Incredible, and his story and how.
Could you imagine if they just started playing the song "I Got the Power"?
Yeah.
Bob Parr.
Speaking of which, Alan used that at the start of his review of the second film. But yeah, no, I mean Bob's story is really cool. How basically, I mean, in the early section of the film, the prologue, we see him trying to get Buddy away from him, stalker alert. But and then he has to go and marry Elastigirl. But it's a cool opening, the way the film opens with the interviews, the TV interviews, and of the three of them, and then the title comes up, and then we see the sort of the chase. That was a really cool opening. I really liked that, and actually all of that prologue section is really good, and interesting. Seeing him trying to take out Bon Voyage, how that doesn't work out because of Buddy, and then he has to get married, and then there's the whole supers being sued. It's a bit extreme how the guy sued him for saving his life. I know the guy was committing suicide, which is quite dark. I mean, and a very sensitive subject, really. But he shouldn't have gone that far. I mean, at the end of the day. I mean, obviously suicide it's not something we encourage, but if a person chooses to do that, it's, yes, of course.
It's kind of stupid. It's like if a guy pointed a gun at someone and, you threw yourself in front of the gun and the bullet, hit you and, you didn't die, but you saved the guy's life. Then the guy turned around and said, "Hey, I wanted him to shoot me. What the fuck, bro?"
Yeah. I meing, it's stupid in the sense that the guy, how the hell was Mr. Incredible to know that the guy was committing suicide? Of course, yes, he was jumping off the building, but Mr. Incredible probably couldn't have seen that far up. He couldn't have seen if the guy jumped or if the guy just fell. So he wouldn't have known.
Not only that, but how would that stand up in court? I wanted to die and I'm suing him because he saved me.
I mean, in terms of that, it almost makes more sense when you watch the second film, because Winston Dever asks Mr. Incredible, why were superheroes forced underground? And he says ignorance. And I think he's right. I think that was just an ignorant view, and it ultimately resulted in all the supers going into hiding, which is a shame. But it was necessary for the plot. And then it's cool seeing sort of the family life as well of the Parrs, and how Bob is depressed at work. He hates his job. He hates his life. He wants to go back to the old days where he could feel like a real super again. And he completely, neglects his family. He doesn't really give a shit. He's just not because he doesn't love them, but just because he's just down. He's depressed. And Elastigirl, or Helen, say, is that sort of the stay-at-home mum looking after the kids. She's trying to snap him out of these delusions of grandeur of old, which were the glory days. But yeah, and then the three kids are good as well. I mean, Violet, who's the adolescent teenager who's got the invisibility powers, and she kind of hide herself away very much. She's going through the stage, she fancies this boy called Tony Ridinger, which extends further into the second film, but we'll deal with that later.
One thing I was going to say, Ollie, just to interrupt. One thing I didn't mention when I was talking about it, maybe you'll agree, I did feel kind of sad for Mr. Incredible, where he goes into his office and he's looking at, old newspaper headings, with him and like the old pictures of him from the glory days. You kind of feel bad for him that, you know, superheroes were outlawed for 15 years and he has to work in this shitty job, and it's like, you know, they should be there to save us. They should be there to protect us. Like, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, you feel his sort of emotional struggle, really.
I mean, is it me? But like, does Civil War kind of copy this idea a little bit? Like, because in that, like, the superheroes are like under sanction from the UN, like because of their powers and stuff.
That's an interesting point. I wouldn't necessarily say so. I would say, in a way, yeah, I could see what you're saying, but that was more of an option. They had the option to hand themselves in and choose a side, whereas this film, there was no choice. They had to be forced underground. But I can see the parallels. I can see what you're saying. But yeah, and then obviously Dash, who's the boy, he's sort of hyperactive, young, that 10-year-old boy. And then, you know, the dinner scene is quite funny when him and Violet are fighting, and then everything's just completely a ruckus. And then Helen says, "Bob, it's time to engage. Don't just stand there. I need you to intervene." And then Bob just lifts the table up and he goes, "Okay, I'm intervening." You know, it's quite funny. And then there's the baby, Jack, who we can't really talk much about until the next film. But he's cute. You know, it's nice to see him. And the ending definitely gives us some clearer idea of what the baby can do. But
yeah.
Moving on.
I was going to mention it. I also like the bit in the dinner scene where he's like cutting the steak and he cuts right through the plate. That just made me laugh.
Yeah, it is quite funny, and also seeing him wreck the car as well. That was good. Like when Bob mumbles to himself, "Gives me a chocolate brush." Right. That was good. And also Frozone. I didn't mention Frozone. He's not in the movie very much. He's not in this film as much as he is in the second film, but what he has in this film, he's pretty good. I like his character. He's really cool. And obviously the classic scene, you know, "Honey, where's my super suit? What? Where is my super suit?" You know, that was hilarious. That was very funny. And that's still talked about today as one of the most memorable scenes. Incredibles. Anyway, more into the main story is really cool how Bob is almost kind of deceived into going on to Nomanison Island and stopping the Omnidroid. You know, in a way, the film goes on a kind of a James Bond mission style plot, which is interesting. And it's really, you know, it's really cool. I like that. And seeing Syndrome, the villain, or Buddy as they call him, I think he's good, and I like his motivations. He was clearly heartbroken by Mr. Incredible's, you know, rejection, that he couldn't take it anymore. He was angry, and he decided to rise up and create his own empire, and that's essentially what he did. He built, you know, he found the island somehow, and he built this technological marvel out of, you know, he made his fortune, and, you know, Bob, that he was actually useful, and, you know, Bob was obviously a bit of a dick. Yeah, Bob had to not push him away so much, which is interesting. And then seeing him sort of having terminated all the supers, that was pretty dark. I thought that was, wow, that was pretty dark. Much more than what the Screenslaver killed in the second film. But we'll get to the Screenslaver shortly. Mirage, I think she's good, and her change of heart is also very good. How she feels sorry for Mr. Incredible. I do wonder whether she is slightly attracted to him. I don't know. I have this theory that Mirage kind of fancies Bob a little bit, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But I think, you know, she generally feels sorry for him when he, is under the illusion that his family are dead, and that Syndrome has murdered them. But obviously, I mean, and then that sort of changes her heart, which is nice. The action sequences are fantastic. I mean, everything, the burning building scene, all the stuff in the opening, the stuff on the island is terrific. When Dash is running on the water, that was awesome. Violet's fighting it, and the final battle with the Omnidroid. Mr. Incredible fights the Omnidroid as well. That was great. All the action is superb, and the animation is great. I mean, it was make at the time. The Pixar,
the animation in the dash scene when he's running in the water. That scene is just fantastic to look at.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's like there is an actual.
Wait, Ollie, your mate Jack left. He hung up.
Oh, don't worry about that. But anyway, as I was saying,
Hey.
yeah, that scene is great when Dash is running on water, and like I love the final battle with the Omnidroid in the city. That was awesome. How all the family get involved in that, and there's that lovely scene between Bob and Helen, where he says, I have to do this alone. I can't lose you again, and she says, we have to work together to stop this, and they do, and that's what happens, and it ultimately works out for the best. Also, I know he's not really important in this film, but Rick Dicker makes a sort of appearance in this film as well. I think the original voice actor actually passed away before the second film, so he sounds a little bit different in the second film. They had to recast him for that reason, which was unfortunate. But yeah, no, he makes a small appearance in this film. Sorry?
Who are you talking about?
Rick Dicker, the guy, the guy who sort of runs the relocation program.
Yeah.
The lawyer guy. He's the guy that interviews Tony at the start of the second film.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the same guy in the second one. He sounds exactly like him.
No, it is a different actor. You can look it up. It's the original actor passed away at some stage before the second film. But anyway, I also think I agree with Jack that the music score by Michael Giacchino is amazing. I mean, this guy gets a lot of work, man. I mean, he gets around. I mean, since The Incredibles, he's done so many films. He's scored so many films. And this is a unique score of his, I think, because the style of it's kind of got this 60s jazz style to it, and it really works. It sounds amazing. I mean, every time there's an action scene, it gets you so excited. And actually, the main theme, I have to watch the credits of The Incredibles because the music is just brilliant to listen to. The da 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 da, da 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 da. Like it's so good. I don't know how he came up with those themes, but they really, really work well. And actually, the writing and directing by Brad Bird is top notch as well. Oh, and I cannot pass my thoughts off without mentioning Edna Mode, darling, yeah, Robert. I mean, she's just hilarious. I mean, all of those moments with her. She says, "What have you been doing, Robert? Resuming hero work?" Like that, it's Brad Bird voicing Edna Mode is quite amazing as well. And she says, "No capes." And then there's that scene with her and Helen when Helen's crying because she find out that Bob has been lying to her, and then she says, "What are you talking about? You are Elastigirl! My God, pull yourself together, confront the battle, fight, win, and call me when you get there, darling. I enjoy our visits." She's so funny, and I'm so glad they brought her back for the second film, which is great. And actually, that plane sequence as well was pretty good when Helen's flying the plane and the kids are in there as well. They're trying to evade the missiles. That was intense. When the way the editing worked there was brilliant. When the missiles were going towards the plane, Violet was trying to do the force field but didn't work. Then Helen just dives for the kids and then manages to save them, and they're falling in the air. And then she makes the parachute. I mean, that was again an incredible scene. And actually, I mean, my only
what I have to say is, could you imagine the amount of shapes she could make it when her and Bob are having sex?
Yeah, well, maybe there's stuff that they didn't want us to see. But anyway, yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, I don't think this is a perfect film. There are a couple of minor problems I have with the film, but they are very minor. Some of the pacing in the first act could be a little slow. It is a bit talky to start with, but for the most part, it's fine. And all the legal stuff with the supers being sued and stuff, I think for a younger audience, they would slightly struggle to get that. I don't think they would quite understand all the legal stuff. It would go over their heads a little bit. But that is only a minor complaint because this film is really, really good. And also, the Underminer at the end, that cliffhanger is also very good, and that made me wanting Incredibles 2 for 14 years, and finally Pixar gave in and actually made the film. And also the ending with Jack Jack is hilarious too. I think the music for that scene is good too. When Syndrome's up in the air and Jack Jack is shaking and he turns into the Demon Baby and Fire Baby and Metal Baby, and that's just funny. I also like the bit when when Jack Jack falls and then Helen just says, "Bob, throw me." I always remember that. That's quite good. And this film is just great. It's in my top 10 Pixar movies. I put it at number 7. It's so good. It's really, really good. Just some minor flaws prevent it from being a masterpiece. But I think for what it is very good and will remain a Pixar classic until the end of time. And I think it is the better of the two films.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But still, I mean, I'm not going to shit the second one because the second one is still fantastic.
Pretty incredible as well.
Yeah. Alan just got back to me and said he forgot. Oh, never mind. It happens.
Ask him to join now. He could give his thoughts on the first one after you're done.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, no, yeah. As sort of my closing thoughts, The Incredibles is an absolute classic. So I'm going to score this one a very high 9 out of 10. So yeah, just bear with me. I'll give Alan a quick message to see if he wants to join.
Yeah, I just messaged him. And we're still talking about the first one, so he could still join and give us his thoughts.
Yeah, no, I mean, what a film that they designed. I mean, it's weird only how much now I notice The Incredibles being kind of having that James Bond-esque feel. And almost in a way, I think they were inspired by James Bond in certain areas. It's like in terms of the architecture as well. You know that scene when Mirage and Bob are having dinner, and it's on that very long table with those big chairs. It does feel like a sort of a Bond's villain's lair. You know, Jack, it reminded me of The Spy Who Loved Me, when Stromberg is sitting at the table, and underneath he's got the very long gun that goes to the other side of the table. It didn't. I mean, I don't know if that.
Yeah, it did actually. It reminded me of that, and just the music as well, like, you know, the dun 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 dun. It kind of reminded me of like the You Only Live Twice music, where it's like dun, where it's like dun 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 dun, like
Yeah, actually, that's another thing. That Chronos scene as well. That was powerful. That was very powerful. Also, Alan said he'll be in 5 minutes, so
5
before we move on
minutes and you're almost there.
Before we move on to the second film, if anyone else wants to say anything about the first film, then
all I'll have to say is, I mean, I think the animation has stood up really well for a film that came out 14 years ago as well. Like, the animation is still pretty good. And I also have to say, like, there were a few scenes that made me laugh, like with Edna, where like she's with Elastigirl and they're testing out the suit, and it's like Jack's suit. It's like fire, you know, like bullets. It's it's invincible to bullets, and then it's like testing out Elastigirl's suit, and she's like, it can stretch in any shape, and then, like, you know, she finds out Bob has like left her, and then she's like crying, and she's like, "Oh my good God, woman, you're Elastigirl!" You know.
Yeah, put yourself together.
Like, that made me laugh.
By the way, did anyone see that on the DVD, the short film Jack Attack?
Oh yeah. I checked out Jack Attack. That explains that how Syndrome convinced Curry to babysit Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting.
By the way, did you see the before we talk about the second one, I guess we could talk about the short film at the start of the second one. What did you guys think of that?
About?
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was very prophetic and very poetic and very well done. It's weird. Every time I've watched this film, a lot of people in the audience, I don't think they got it. They were quite shocked the way that short film ended. You know, when she eats the dumpling.
Yeah.
I don't think they quite got it. They were like, "What?" Like some people even chuckled at it. They thought it was amusing, but yeah, there's a lot of subtext to it. I think it's a beautiful little film. I don't know about you guys.
I really liked it. I mean, I thought it was quite interesting at the start. Like she makes this dumpling, and it like becomes her like kid, and then it like goes out. It starts like going out with these girls and like going on their phone and like won't listen to her, and then she eats it. And I was like thinking like, because when I first saw it, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Because I was like how is this dumpling going out with this girl? How is this dumpling like doing all this stuff? But then it turns out it's like it's a story about her son, because we see her son, and like her son looks exactly like the dumpling, except it's not a dumpling. Like I mean, the dumpling's got glasses and wearing a shirt, and her son's got glasses, and I did like the scene. Like I think it's like a metaphor for her just like getting fed up with her son. Like she was there for her son all those years, like helped him grow up, had great times, and then he became an adult, and he moved out and he got a bit belligerent and got tired of her, and then he comes back at the end, like, and she's sitting on the bed with her son. Like I thought it was really touching, actually. Like I thought it was really good.
I mean, because at first you think this is a bit strange, like the way it's told with the dumpling, but
yeah,
it was very sweet, very beautiful, and I hope that they get some recognition for that short film.
Was there a short film at the start of The Incredibles?
Yes, I can't remember what it was called, but I think it was called something like Boundin or something. I can't remember what it was about, but it was this like lamb or something that got his hair shaved. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was on the DVD, but it's not on the Blu-ray version of The Incredibles. I don't know why. I think it might just be a special feature, but it's not on the. When you press play on the film on the Blu-ray, it doesn't have that. But also talking about short films, one of my favorite ones was from the Monsters Inc., where the birds are all on that telephone wire.
For the birds is hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and then at the end they all get I think they all get electrocuted or something, don't they?
I am back.
Yeah, and all their.
By the way, Alan should be joining us any minute now. So before we move on to film 2, we'll let him say his thoughts on film 1, and then we'll carry on from there.
Yeah.
Wait, which one are we on now?
We just finished the first one.
We just finished the first, but we're waiting for Alan. Alan is literally joining us just a sec.
Did he? Yeah, because I've seen his icon.
Yeah, he's online now. He basically forgot about the hangout. But, it's good that he messaged when he did. And there's only 2 films, so, there's no rush to finish.
Yeah.
I've just sent him an invite, so he knows. He's just grabbing his coffee. Yeah. Oh, Lee, while we talked about it, did you like the short film before Incredibles 2?
You mean the Bow short? Oh, it was fucking shite.
Really? I loved it.
I thought it was adorable.
It was. I don't see shorts. Like, I mean, I said to myself, "Hey, for fuck's sake, I came for the movie."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see the short for Inside Out Ollie, the one with the volcanoes?
Yeah, because when I saw it at the cinema, they played it before Inside Out. I thought that was cool. It was very sweet, but obviously I preferred the actual film Inside Out to that.
Were there any short films before the Toy Story movies?
I think so. I think what was the one before the third one? Lee, do you know what it was?
I haven't a clue because I didn't see the third in cinemas. I do remember seeing Cardboard for number 3 when I went to go see Alvin and Chipmunks 2, I think it was.
Oh God, not that trilogy.
Wait, that one came out 2009, right?
Toy Story 3.
No, Alvin and Chipmunks 2.
I think it came out 2009. I don't know.
All I have to say is that is one animated movie series I'm never gonna talk about or review. The Alvin and the Chipmunks. Oh,
Jack, what are your thoughts on How to Train Your Dragon and Legend of the Guardians?
I haven't seen the How to Train Your Dragon films.
Oh, they're great. Highly recommend.
When's Shrek 5 gonna come out?
No.
Hang on.
Have you seen? Wait, Jack. Have you seen the Legend of the Guardians movie?
Alan's here.
Hello, Alan.
Alan,
He's here, but
we can't hear him.
hello.
See him there.
He's wearing sunglasses. I mean, glasses.
He's at
Sorry,
a-
he's not wearing
got a-
sunglasses. I have to.
Must be at a coffee shop.
Yeah, he said he was at Starbucks.
We'll start. Wait, isn't Alan American?
Yeah,
Oh,
Oh.
I forgot about that.
in America. Oh, he's left.
Is it too awkward for him to talk in Starbucks?
No, he said he was
It
fine.
probably is.
No, he said it was okay. He just had to put some earplugs in.
All right.
Huh?
I'll call him again.
I was here.
Yay, Alan!
Hey, Alan.
Hello.
Welcome
Hello.
to the incredible.
How you doing?
Good. How about yourself?
Turn
Good.
your damn microphone
Hey, you know
off.
what? Hang on, wait.
Hold on.
Okay, Alan. So how you been?
I've been all right, thanks. I didn't mean to keep you guys waiting. I had totally forgotten about the hangout. I'm sorry. And then I went out to some errands, and now I'm sitting in a coffee shop. So I think my my visit today is going to have to be short. Maybe I'm the last person to talk about the first movie. I should probably be the first person to talk about the second movie, and then I got to go.
Oh, okay, that's fair enough. If Lee, if you're all right to wait until he's done with the second film, then
Yeah. No bother.
cool. So Alan,
Alan, I just sent you a invite, by the way.
Oh, you did? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
okay, so what do you think of the first Incredibles film, 2004?
Okay, gathering my thoughts. Yeah, it's a classic. It's also, as it may have been said before, it's the best movie version of the Fantastic Four
Yeah,
that's ever been made. I mean, that's basically it. I mean, the superpowers that the Incredibles have is basically the almost the exact same powers as the Fantastic Four. And they did it right because nobody else seems to do the Fantastic Four right, but the Incredibles did. Well, first of all, I mean, it being a Pixar film, of course, it's going to be fantastically animated, and I think it was the first time that they extensively animated humans in a movie. I believe, although they did it to a.
They did Toy
I mean,
Story. Toy Story.
yeah, but
Yeah.
okay, yeah, they did it in Toy Story, but it that was animation from over 20 years ago, and it looks a little outdated now.
Well, they did
It's
it.
still like
They did it in the second one with Al from Al's Toy Barn.
okay, yeah. But I mean, the humans in the Incredibles look really, really realistic this time around. I mean, their animation had gone
there I
way
say,
ahead.
look incredible.
Yes, exactly. And on top of that, they just had a really terrific story, and they had a family that you really care about. I mean, all the characters are wonderful, and it's a family that you really truly care about. And I like how they fight together as a good team by the end. You had a good villain. Please remind me what he's called.
Syndrome.
Syndrome. Yes, thank you. Yeah, really great villain in Syndrome. Great support from Samuel L. Jackson as the freezing guy.
Frozone.
Frozone. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I'm doing this hangout on the fly, so forgive me. But yeah, I mean, again, a great story, great animation. I really love the jazz score. I guess it was Michael Giacchino who did the score.
Yep.
Yeah, I really like jazzed up kind of soundtrack. Some of it sounds like James Bond kind of music. Some parts of it. But it's just a lot of fun. It's just a lot of great fun, and I like the concept of superheroes who. That they there was a time when the world really loved and appreciated superheroes, but then society kind of frowned upon them for certain reasons, for like political reasons, and now they're trying to make a comeback of some sort, and I really like the story, and again you've got a great voice cast, with Samuel L. Jackson and Holly Hunter, and Oh god, the guy who does Mr. Incredible. I'm sorry.
Craig T. Nelson.
Craig T. Nelson. Yes, again, I'm sorry that I'm not prepared. I'm doing this unprepared. I'm sitting in a coffee shop having a strawberry frappuccino. But anyway, but it's a classic Pixar film. It's one that I've always enjoyed. I think it's certainly one of their very best movies, and the ending definitely left you hungry for more. You wanted to see that fight between the Incredibles and God, I'm blanking out on everything today, guys. I'm so sorry. But the Underminer, thank you. Yeah, I mean, the movie ends and you really want to see that fight with the Underminer, who knew we were going to have to wait 14 years for it. But the movie definitely leaves you hungry for more. But it's just a great rollicking adventure. Great characters, superb animation, characters to care about, great music score. I mean, it's a really great film all the way around. I think, in my opinion, I would give it a perfect 10 out of 10 for sure.
Woo! Cool. So, moving on to Alan. We now do the second film in this series, The Incredibles 2, which we had to wait 14 years for. Too damn long. Oh, yes. So, Alan, take it away with your probably brief thoughts on The Incredibles 2.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, Ollie. That I'm just running around like crazy today. But anyway, The Incredibles 2. Well, for a long time we never thought we'd actually get it. We finally did get it at long last, and it was so worth it. I mean, it's a spectacular sequel. I think it's kind of hard for me to choose now. Now that I've seen it a couple of times, it's kind of hard for me to choose which Incredibles movie is better than the other, because I think they're equally good. They're both equally great in their own way. And I really loved how it starts right off with the fight with the Underminer. So the movie just picks up right where the last one left off, even though it's been 14 years. But I think they carried the story pretty seamlessly. For me, the only indication that time has passed really is when you listen to Holly Hunter's voice, because she does sound a little bit older now in her voice. I mean, it's still a great vocal performance that she does as the mother, but you can hear that she has aged a little bit. So that's really the only giveaway for me, that it's been 14 years between movies. But other than that, I mean, wow, what a sequel. And again, it's really hard for me to choose which one is better than the other, but I just love the continuation of the story. And okay, I mean, they did a very simple, flipping around of Mother Incredible and Father Incredible.
Yeah, I agree with you, Alan. I thought, one of the things that made Incredibles 2 so good is that it feels like a second part, and it kind of feels like a book. Like a book was split into 2 chapters, and it really did feel like part 2. It really, like I said earlier on, the whole superheroes being illegal, that was really, really set up for this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I agree completely. It's a very, very satisfying, fun story once again, although just switching around the mother and father characters. That, in the first one, it was the mom who was staying home with the kids while the dad was out doing the superhero stuff until they all come together as a family and fight together at the end. And now in this one, it's the dad staying home with the mother going out and being the superhero and fighting the stuff. And she gets a really great adventure too, besides. I mean, I really like the when she's on the train, and the other one where she's fighting the screenslaver, or who we think is the screenslaver. That was a really, really good fight scene and all that. And I love her stuff on her really cool motorbike. Was also fun. And I also enjoyed watching how Father Incredible has to deal with just being a stay-at-home dad and having to raise the kids and look after the kids while mommy's out fighting. And of course, then he finds out about little baby Jack's powers, which is hysterically funny.
Fucking raccoon scene.
Yeah, when he's fighting the raccoon is a great, hilarious moment. But it's all just so really well done. It's a very seamless continuation of the story from the first movie. Once again, we have wonderful characters. You care about all of them. Beautiful animation. What's that?
You even actually care about Evelyn Dever, believe it or not.
Yeah, how about that? How about that? That's right. Edna's back.
Evelyn Dever is
Yeah.
Evelyn Dever is a fantastic character in the movie.
I think so.
Oh man, she gave in such a darker vibe to it.
I think so. I think so. Certainly. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, and I
again,
don't get all the hate for her though.
yeah, me neither. Me neither. I don't understand that either. I think they're all very appealing characters, even down to the character
Although,
we
if I'm
find out is
being
really
honest now, wait, are we talking spoilers, Ollie?
Yeah, okay. I mean, the movie's been out for a while, so anyone watching this, spoilers for Incredibles 2. So spoilers go away now.
Okay.
See, I thought like Evelyn, I thought the screenslaver would have been, and when I saw this thing on Instagram, I was like, oh shit! After seeing a spoiler, now it didn't bother me, but I was like, oh, it's a different character.
I mean, Alan,
So
was it?
because all I saw from Evelyn was the clip that she was in. Thanks, I designed it myself, and that's all I saw.
Yeah. Alan, can I ask, was it obvious to you that it was Evelyn Dever, screenslaver?
You know, everybody says it was obvious to them, but it really wasn't obvious to me. No, maybe I missed something, but no, I was kind of surprised when it turned out that she was the screenslaver.
Even when she said the line, "I'm the genius behind the genius."
I think that line must have gone over my head because I didn't put two and two together.
Yeah, but like that could mean anything though. I'm the genius behind the genius. I mean, she did help, but
it was literally the moment just after the pizza guy was caught, and then they thought they'd caught the screenslaver, and she was like, "You're a genius." Oh no, I'm just the genius behind the genius. I mean, oh come on. So her name, Evelyn Dever.
Well,
Evelyn Dever.
Maybe the reason why that line kind of went over her head is because maybe I thought she was talking about her brother. That she was the genius behind her brother.
Yeah, that's true. Because I was kind of getting a bit confused. Like I was like, wait, what? That's the screenslaver?
So maybe that's what did it for me. I thought she was talking about her brother.
I do agree. But I loved the screen. He would be up there with villains like Shen, Kai, Naira, Claude.
To Alan. Alan needs to sort of hurry up because he has to go. But we'll come to you next, Lee. I promise.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
So anyway, just to sum it all up, I mean, I thought it was really exciting. I thought The Incredibles 2, I thought it was really exciting, beautifully animated. Again, all the wonderful characters are back. I love the switching of the roles between the mother and father this time. But then, of course, they still all come back together again as a family to fight the bad guys once again, which is always great fun to see. Another great music score by Michael Giacchino. Just really top-notch writing, great voice acting from the cast again. Again, it's hard to believe that 14 years have passed in between films, but Incredibles 2 really is really truly special stuff. Maybe now that I've seen it a couple of times, I think it's just as great as the first. I can't decide which one is better than the other. But I really loved it.
What did you think of the final fight, like on the boat, and all of the new superheroes that we saw?
Oh, I love the final fight on the boat. Oh, and I also have to make mention of some of the extra superhero characters in this movie. I guess the most notable one is the superhero named Void, that girl named Void.
Yeah,
who forms a good friendship with Mother Incredible, and she can do like interdimensional, powerful stuff. Yeah, she's like a teenager or young girl, but she's got like interdimensional powers, and she's very likable, very appealing. I like her very much. Also, the other superheroes that Mother Incredible meets at the party, along with Void, they were all fun.
Great.
Oh yeah, and of course, like I said, Jack and his powers, fantastic. Great, yeah, and the fight with the raccoon is just classic. But anyway, yeah. Just to wrap it all up, yeah, wonderful sequel. One of those rare sequels that really does stand up just as tall as the original movie. Yeah, it was so worth the wait. So on 1 to 10, I got to give Incredibles 2 another perfect 10 out of 10.
Woo! Awesome. Gone up since your review.
There you go. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to update my review because I think I gave Incredibles 2 a 9 out of 10. But I really, really loved it even more the second time around, so I might just boost it to a perfect 10. Why not?
Okay, also, one more thing. Did you like Edna Mode? And obviously also Winston Ever. Did you like him as well?
Can you repeat that, Ollie?
Did you, just a couple of other characters, did you like Edna Mode in this one and also Winston Dever?
Yeah, Edna. Yes, Edna, darling. Yeah. Edna is always great fun, and how she kind of turns into like a temporary babysitter for Jack, and makes a special suit for him, and that suit for him that can I don't know, it shoots like whipped cream or something like that in order to calm Jack down when it inflates or something like that. That was great. Yeah, Edna's always a fun character. You know you're gonna like Edna when Edna shows up on the screen. So it was great to have Edna back. Definitely. Was there anything else?
Winston Dever.
He was a good character. Yeah, I liked him. I mean, he's pretty much the straight man character in this story. But yeah, he was very, very good and likable. And of course, I like the character of his sister, who well, let's see. We're talking spoilers, yes?
Yeah. Spoilers all around.
Okay, spoiler. Yeah, she turns out to be the real screenslaver, and yeah, she's a good character too. I liked her as well, and yeah, they were all very appealing characters. Yeah, I enjoyed them all.
Excellent, cool. So we now move on to Lee.
Okay. So guys, I guess I'm gonna have to go now, but thank you so much for letting me stop by. I appreciate that.
That's all right. Yeah, no problem.
You're welcome, Alan.
It was incredible listening to you, Alan.
All right, thank you. We'll do it again soon, and hopefully I'll remember next time for the next hangout, so I won't be running around.
Yeah, no worries.
You off to fight the screenslaver, Alan?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Don't look at the screens, whatever you do.
Don't look at the screens, nah. Okay, thanks, guys.
See you, Alan.
See you around, Alan.
All right, see ya.
Well, I just discovered that Lee has left us for, personal hygiene reasons. Say any more than that. I shouldn't say that. So I'm just going to skip ahead to Jack.
Yeah, he sent an image. Hopefully that's not him in the shower, because I wouldn't. Alright, how to Train Your Dragon, thank God. Alright, Incredibles 2. Well, I was a bit late to this. I saw this last week or something. I think it was last week.
Don't worry, Jack. Pixar were a bit late to it. They made it 40 years after the original.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. But yeah, Incredibles 2, I actually never thought this was going to happen. I mean, like I said, at the end of the first one, I thought it was going to happen. Like, I was like, waiting, I was like, because I mean, it's a perfect setup for a sequel. It's like, they're at the football game, they come out, the Underminers are, the Underminer, and then you've got them taking off their shirts and the Incredibles logo underneath it, like with their outfits, and they put on the masks. And I remember like watching that as a kid, and I was like, I can't wait for the sequel, because I thought the sequel might be next year or the next couple of years, but we had to wait 14 fucking years. 14 long, laborious years.
You know what? Sitting through the Cars trilogy was worth it now.
I mean, I agree with you, what you said, Ollie, in your review of Cars 3. We had to wait. We had to get a Cars trilogy before you got Incredibles 2. Yeah. Fuck off! No.
Yeah. It's sad the fact that Cars is now a trilogy, and yet we have to wait so long for Incredibles 2.
I'd rather have the Incredibles trilogy, but I mean, one thing I will say is the fact that it took so long, like, it kind of reminded me of that thing from SpongeBob, like 10 years later, like
1,000 years later.
Yeah. It reminded me of like that. But Incredibles 2, I think this is a really good sequel. I mean, I don't think it's as good as the first one. I do have like maybe one or two issues with it, which I'll get into later. But I still think it's a very good sequel. I mean, when I first saw the trailers, like I thought it was really good, but I was worried about it because Miss Elastigirl was the main character and Mr. Incredible was like the stay-at-home dad, and I thought, oh god, is this like the Incredibles like feminized shit version? Like,
There's
like
nothing wrong with putting Elastigirl as the main character.
no,
Female empowerment's a good thing.
no, I didn't mind that, but no, I don't have a problem with female empowerment. I just thought like with the recent trend of Hollywood, like all female Ghostbusters, you know, got a female Doctor, Ocean's 8, talk of a female Bond. And then I saw Mrs. Like Elastigirl's the lead character. I thought, oh god, is this following the Hollywood trend of like Ghostbusters, Doctor Who? You know,
Actually, Brad Bird has said that in an interview that he'd actually had the idea of the role reversal sort of shortly after he finished the first film. That was years ago. So they'd honestly been thinking about this for many years, you know. But I can see why you would be skeptical. But I would say it works.
No, that's what I was gonna say. It worked spectacular. It worked really well. Like the only reason I was kind of skeptical was because of you know, because the recent trend in Hollywood with all female Ghostbusters, all you know, female Doctor, you know, female Ocean's 8. So I just kind of thought
Who has made his bed?
yeah, I just thought they were doing it because like of feminism recently in Hollywood, like you know, Ocean's 8, Ghostbusters, Doctor Who, and possibly James Bond. Which, fuck no. I mean, they're gonna do Indiana Jones, so like,
Anyway.
I don't have a problem with female empowerment, Harry. I don't have a problem with female characters, Harry. But if they were male to begin with, I don't think they should just be changed into females for the sake of it. I'm sorry, but that's just politically correct bullshit. Anyway, Incredibles 2. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great film. I mean, it's interesting that it takes place just after the first film. I mean, it's been 14 years for us, but literally, The Incredibles 2 takes place just after the first film.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of watching it, thinking, "You bastards! You know, you could set the next one 30 years after this film, and you know, and like it would be 30 years for us, but no time for you because you could just recast the actors who die or whatever and get voices that sound similar." But I mean, you know, the film I think is really good. Like, you know, it begins like the first one left off, where you've got Tony there and you've got the Underminer, and surprisingly, the Underminer isn't the main villain in this film, which I think is kind of a good thing. I think it's you know, I mean, I think it would have been.
People would have just thought, oh, they're just rehashing the game, Rise of the Underminer, which would have been very good, to be honest.
Yeah. Not only that, but it's like also we already knew who the villain was at the end of the first one, so it'd kind of be like, oh, like just the Underminer. But I did like
the trailers. Sorry to interrupt. The trailers gave away who the villain was, the Screenslaver. So we knew the Underminer was only going to be in the opening scene anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think anyway, like the opening action scene is really great, where they're fighting on the inside the drill, and then you know he's sucking up all the gold and you know
money.
And and he breaks into a bank and Bob Parr's sucked up into it, which is quite funny. But I didn't think the ending was good, where he managed to stop it, and they destroyed like the front of the building, but they just managed to avoid destroying the building. But they still get sued anyway, which is a pisser. It's like, you know, why would you sue? I mean, one thing I didn't understand is like, why would you sue them for that after they saved the town from the robot at the end of the first film? Like,
Well, it wasn't that they were sued; they were already sort of illegal, so they were basically just in breach of the law. So
yeah, but everybody kind of applauded them at the end of the first one. But
yeah,
but they get sued again, which is unfortunate, and they're in the motel, and you do kind of feel bad for them because they could actually. They could actually be thrown out into the street, like, you know, they're in this, you know, motel, and they could be homeless.
The house is destroyed.
Yeah, because the superhero protection program is shut down, and you know that, and they could be homeless because they have to stay in this motel. And you know, I think it was great bringing back the guy from the first film, even though that actor's dead. It sounded just like him. I mean, they did a really good job recasting, like Dash. He's older now, the actor who played him, so they got a younger actor in. And I remember when I listened to the trailers, he sounded nothing like the original one, but in the film, he sounded just like the original Dash. And same with the guy who plays, the guy who runs the superhero, the superhero protection program. But I mean, it's interesting as well. They got this guy, Winston Dever, who he basically he wants to make superheroes legal again, which is really interesting. Like we see, I mean, and I do like the backstory with him. Like his father loved superheroes. His father was always, advocating for superheroes, and then we find out later in the film something about that, which is quite interesting. And it's great that we get Frozone in this.
Feel free to go spoilers. It's fine.
No. I'm gonna, but I'm gonna get to that in a minute. I was just like, I think Frozone. It's great that he gets more to do. Like Samuel L. Jackson back as Frozone. That's really great. I mean, it's interesting to note that Craig T. Nelson, who plays Mr. Incredible, is actually 74. Yeah, and
they better hurry up if they want to make the third one.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be dead by the next one. If it's another 14 years, he'll be 88 then. But anyway, I mean, I think that part of the film is good, and when they meet Winston Dever, and he talks him through this like idea for the superhero program. And he's like, "Oh yeah, bring your old suits," and that he goes in their old. Elastigirl goes in her old suit, Mr. Incredible, and I think it's quite funny, like when he's like, "Oh, we want you, Elastigirl," and like Mr. Incredible's like, "What? Like her? Like really? Like yeah, he's really annoyed. He's like, "Well, Bob, we did track your last 10." Convictions against criminals, and it turns out Elastigirl did better than you, and he's like really pissed off. And it's quite funny to see Mr. Incredible jealous, like in the first one it's him going out there doing all the work. This time he's stay-at-home dad, like Elastigirl does the work. It's kind of funny because she doesn't want to do it, but Mr. Incredible really does. I mean, it's kind of cool as well, like they have this idea of like putting this camera on her suit, so it'll show the public what exactly they're doing and make them more sympathetic, which I think was a cool idea. And it's interesting, like when she stops the train, like that was a good scene where she's on the bike and she's trying to stop the train, and like I think Dash or whatever like calls her like when she's on her bike, like that was funny.
Yeah.
And she stops the train and it says the screenslaver, like I'm still out there or whatever, like Elastigirl. That was good. And I also, find it quite funny with Bob as a stay-at-home dad. Like, we see that they're renting out this, they give him this bigger house to rent out, and Dash or whatever, like he manages, like there's like an underwater, like there's water underneath the floorboards, and Dash manages to put the sofas into the water by accident.
He wrecks the furniture.
Yeah. Like that was hilarious. And yeah, of course you got that really funny fight scene with Jack and the raccoon. Like that just made me laugh. I mean, it was just, I mean, when I first saw it, I thought it was a bit random. Like, why is he fighting this raccoon? But it was hilarious. Like, he watches TV and he decides to fight the raccoon. And I found it really funny as well.
Yeah, I mean, with Jack, there's not really much else that you can do to get him to fight with, because he's a baby, so you've got to find something sizable enough for him to fight. Plus, it's just a funny scene. It's just to showcase his powers, I suppose.
Yeah.
Give him more to do.
And it was funny. And he does have quite a lot of funny scenes in this. Like when he goes into this like other realm, this other dimension, and he can still hear Mr. Incredible, and like he gets this cookie, and he's like Jack, cookie, and like he comes through,
cookie.
yeah, and he comes through the void. And I found it fucking hilarious, like when Frozone found out he had all these powers, like the laser beams in his eyes, and he could, go on fire, turn into this demon. He's like, "You have one like, messed up kid." Like,
baby super freak here.
Yeah, it was so hilarious. Like that made me laugh. Like that was a really funny scene. And it was a great moment, like when Mr. Incredible finds out, he's like, "You have powers!" Like,
yeah, baby.
Yeah. Although one thing I didn't understand is like I'm surprised they didn't notice he didn't have powers at the end of the first film, because like they must have been looking up and like they must have seen him on fire or him turn into like
Yeah.
a tin or something like.
To be fair, he was very high up, and they knew something was happening because they could see Syndrome shaking, but I don't think they could see Jack because he
I'm
was.
surprised they couldn't see that he was on fire because that would be quite noticeable. But anyway, yeah. But anyway, like the second film is really great, and that scene is really great. And I also like the scene where Mr. Incredible's at home and he sees his car up for auction. He's like, "That's my car. They told me it was destroyed."
It's the Incredible.
Yeah, the Incredible, yeah, and then Dash gets it later from out of the auction. Like it's like it's so funny because Dash activates it live on. It's so that scene made me laugh. Like when he activates the car live on TV, he's like, "No, Jack, no." He's like, "No, Dash. Sorry."
I don't need a rich guy coming after me.
Yeah, he's like, "No, Dash, don't do that." And he activates the car like with the missiles and all that, and like he deactivates it. That just made me laugh. But I mean, yeah, that was really great. And yeah, seeing like Elastigirl like getting more to do was great, and she gets a new suit. And I did find it funny later, like when Mr. Incredible like leaves, like he just finds Jack too much work, and he leaves him off to Edna Mode, and he's like, and she's like, he's like, "Who designed your suit? Like, you let Pearl Jam."
Bucky, explain yourself.
Yeah, that made me laugh. And then she doesn't want, she doesn't want to look after baby. She doesn't have, she doesn't have any, she just doesn't like kids or whatever. But then she finds that Jack has all these superpowers. Like, he could turn into a demon baby and go on fire, and he can transport and fly and stuff. And it was quite funny, like when he was looking at Edna, and then because he liked her so much or whatever, like he copied her hair. That made me laugh. Like when he copies her appearance with the hair, like he grows the hair or whatever, that made me laugh. And it's interesting how many powers Jack has. I mean, he must be the most. I mean, if he grows up to be a superhero, he'll probably be the most powerful superhero ever. But I mean, yeah, that was really interesting. And
I can ask you, like, what did you think of the scenes when Bob was reading the book, reading the story to him?
Oh yeah, that was funny. Like, and then he keeps going downstairs, like he thinks he's asleep, and he's on the sofa with the TV remote. And there's that time he like puts him in the he puts him in his cot, and he puts the table on top of it, and then he's still there. He manages to get out again. I guess he went through the interdimension to get out of there or whatever. But that made me laugh. And it also made me laugh, like when he's with I mean, he kind of fucks up, like where he's with Violet. Like, he takes her out to this restaurant, and Tony's there, and of course we find out Tony's memory has been wiped, like completely. Like, Mr. Incredible tells your guy, and he erases his memory completely of Violet, which like she finds out, and she gets really annoyed. And you kind of feel bad for Bob because he's trying his best with his family. He is trying, but he's kind of he's kind of fucking up badly, and then
making the wrong decisions.
Yeah, and then with Dash later when he can't do his homework, and it is quite nice like when he starts to get on with the family. Like he looks after Jack, he looks after Violet, and like there's that interesting scene like where he he's like, math. He's like, how could they change math? Like, he's like, math is math. Like that made me laugh. And then he learns it, and then I mean he like wakes up he wakes up Dash at like midnight or dawn or whatever. It's like, how did he keep him up all night, and how did he learn all these like equations overnight? That's like a whole book. I didn't get that. Like, how did he learn it like in just a few hours overnight? Like, I mean, keeping him up all the night, like, wouldn't he fall asleep during the exam?
Well, he probably already knows a lot of math. He probably just looked at the method in the book and probably just probably just learned from it. I think it's sweet though how he does that. He stays up all night just to learn the book and Dash before he goes.
One thing I forgot to mention, there was a funny scene in the first one with his teacher where he goes into the principal's office and he's like, "It's a pin! He put it down there! See? He put it down!"
And fun fact, that actor who voices the teacher is the same actor that voices Linguini in Ratatouille.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he was actually the production designer for this film. His name's Romano.
I didn't know that, but I forgot that scene in the first movie, like where there's just like a little blink, and he's like, "There, he moved. I saw him. He put the pin down."
Imagine if it was Linguini. Oh, I'm gonna move the pin. Oh, oh.
I know, but I mean, yeah, I think once we get past that, and like the stuff with the screenslaver. I mean, I think the screenslaver is a good. I think the screen just don't think syndrome more metal.
Hello, Jack. Oh dear. I think there's a connection problem. Jack.
The screenslaver's messing with his connection.
Oh. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know what to do really until Jack returns. I guess, Lee, if you're ready to talk about Incredibles 2, you can carry on until Jack comes back. Is anyone there? What's going on?
I'm here.
Ugh. Lee?
I'm back, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason,
Yeah.
Jack,
Sorry, I had to have a shower.
that's all right. For some reason, Jack's connection is fucked up, and I think he's probably gonna have to re-enter at some point. But do you want to just carry on until then?
Right. Wait, do you mean I give my thoughts?
Yeah, on Incredibles 2, yeah.
Yeah, what a fucking great sequel. It was just, oh man, it was absolutely amazing. It kind of feels like this would be a good end cap to The Incredibles as a whole, if I'm being honest. I loved how it switched around, and I like how the screenslaver was treated as a whole. The screenslaver was the best, probably my favorite character of the film, and I liked I love the action. The action just blew my mind, and I liked how Evelyn DeVore is a dark character, and I like how it went through the background of the first film. It continued the story, and it didn't rehash the first one. And I think it was pretty much what people wanted as Incredibles 2. Yeah, if you get what I mean. I think that's the thing people wanted to see. People should be happy.
Lee, you said about the action. Did you like the sort of the final battle on the boat? You know, when they have to fight all the superheroes and take the glasses off and try and smash the goggles or whatever they are.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I thought the music was great for that scene.
Oh, it was just exciting. It was exciting, and I loved how I liked how it was like the main, like Elastigirl is kind of like the main focus, and it's quite deep how they made her mind controlled, but kind of like the bit when the Void and all that enter their house, the motel. I thought that scene was like really, really exciting, and you get really, really nervous. And then Frozone, he's screwed, and the scene was it's really exciting, the film, and I take it over Teen Titans Go, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Jurassic World 2. I just really would.
And you take it over the first Incredibles as well, wouldn't you?
Yeah. But I wouldn't take it over Kung Fu Panda or How to Train Your Dragon. But it's a great film. It was spectacular, and I just it'd be even in my top 10 favorite movies, tied with Infinity War. Although I kind of like Incredibles 2 a bit more. So far, best animated movie of the year and my favorite Pixar film. But hopefully, in terms of the best animation of the year, hopefully Spider-Man can top that. I really hope it does.
Cool.
You guys okay?
Yeah. So you score it 10 out of 10.
Yeah, so I would score it a 10 out of 10. And I'd score the first a 9 out of 10 because I thought Syndrome was a 9. But yeah, that's what I have to say about Incredibles 2. Brilliant film, along with the first one. They're both masterpieces. So back on to Jack, I guess.
Excellent.
Or Ollie.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lisa. Jack, part 2.
Sorry, my connection just fucked up there when I was talking, so I had to fix that.
Don't apologise. It's not your fault.
Anyway, Incredibles 2. Yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was interesting. Like, there's some good action scenes, like, you know, where she manages to trace, she manages to trace the screenslaver, and they have that fight. That fight scene was really good, and like she gets hypnotized, and I think the screenslaver is quite scary, like with the hypnotism and all that. I did think there were some like interesting scenes, like, you know, that she's kind of like, you know, she's in the limelight a lot, and she doesn't really like being in the limelight, and then she meets the other superheroes, which is quite cool. Like, you've got Void and also Brick. Like, he made me laugh.
Where's son?
Yeah, his character. But I mean, yeah, it's interesting how they're all kind of inspired to come out of hiding, and we find out that there's still some superheroes left out there. There are more superheroes left, like, because Syndrome killed like pretty much all of them or a lot of them in the first film. So that was good. But I mean, it's interesting, like when they think they get the screenslaver, like, and then they find that pizza boy or whatever, and then it's like it turns out that the screenslaver is like, you know, the Elastigirl's like driving by, and she sees this like this little poster that this girl has that says screenslaver is still out there. So that was interesting, and then she finds out it's all too easy, and then she gets knocked out. And I do think the backstory of Evelyn Dever, like Screenslaver, is quite interesting. Like the fact that, you know, her father, like, you know, she hated superheroes because her father could have gone in the safe room. Like, her mother told him to go in the safe room, but he decided to call the superheroes instead, and he got killed. So I guess she kind of blames the superheroes for that. But I would really say that's more. I'd really say that's more of his fault, though, because he didn't go in the safe room. So I don't know why she has a problem with superheroes in some way, but anyway. I mean,
yeah, it's for that very reason you said. She felt that because they weren't around to help him, that they were partly responsible.
Yeah,
and obviously the grief consumed her. It's a shame. Whereas Winston kind of got over it, you know.
And he saw superheroes as a good thing. So I mean, that was good, and I think it's quite interesting, like how these glasses can hypnotize you, like where we see Elastigirl gets them, and then and then Mr. Incredible arrives, she's like beating him up, and then she kisses him, and then, like, you know, he thinks she's back, and then he gets the glasses on, and then all the other superheroes do, like the screensaver glasses, and it's quite interesting, like when they have the goggles on, like they go back to the Incredibles house, and they try to get they try to get the kids, like Jack, Dash, and Violet, and then Frozone, he gets the goggles put on him, and it's like Void and all that, they've got the goggles on, and then they manage to escape in the credit card. You know, they steal the credit card, and like that was good. Like where we see the credit card turns into the boat. It kind of reminded me of the Spy Loved Me when the car turned it into the boat.
And also with the ejector seats.
Yeah, that was great. And you know, I did think the final fight on the boat was really great. Like where we got Elastigirl back in her proper like Incredibles outfit. They all get the fight at the end, and they managed to, like, you know, I think it's quite funny that, you know, Jack gets the suit, and the suit, when he goes on fire, like presses, there's this thing in the suit that covers him in cherry foam, whatever, to know.
I think Ed in the Mood says it's like blackberry lavender or something.
Yeah.
Also, Jack, what did you think of the opening with the undermine?
Like that, I thought that was a really good opening. Yeah. But I mean, it was quite fun when the goes out of control, and then Jack becomes really big, and he's like he's running through the ship. That made me laugh. But you know, the final fight was really great. With Screenslaver, and then, like, you know, we see that she still cares for Winston. She's like, "Oh, get in," or whatever, and he's like, "No," and you know, he doesn't trust her anymore. And then, you know, we have the ending with Elastigirl and Screenslaver in the airplane, and you know that she manages to get out of the airplane, and Screenslaver gets the parachute, I mean, I thought the ending fighting the boat was cool, but I just thought like we could have had a bit more of a fight between Elastigirl and Evelyn Dever. Like maybe that. I mean, we could have had kind of like Syndrome in the first film. You know, you have the fight at the end, and the fight was Syndrome. But I mean, here it's just kind of like she goes in the
Yeah, I suppose so. Also, they did have a sort of a brief fight in the sky. When they were falling, and then she tried to make a parachute, and then they were like kicking each other in the air. That was good.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, I just don't think. I mean, I think the Screensaver's a good film, but once we find out who she really is, she doesn't even put on the costume or use the screens to hypnotize people anymore. It becomes a bit. She becomes a bit of a boring character for me after that. Once we get all the revelations, she's just.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, like the costume was never really for her. It was for someone else. She was always the person behind the screenslaver. She was never physically the screenslaver.
Fair enough, but I mean, she just doesn't make the same impact to me as like Syndrome. He's like, I am your arch enemy.
Yeah.
Syndrome.
I mean, she kind of wears a costume towards the end. When she puts the sort of the oxygen mask on in the plane, but even then, it's not really much of a costume. It doesn't represent the screenslaver, but it's the closest thing to a different costume.
Yeah, and I also say, like, I think with Syndrome, what I preferred about him was he really hated Mr. Incredible. Like, he despised him, and he'll do anything to like kill superheroes and all. He was more ruthless. With Screenslaver, I just kind of think that while she's a good villain, I just think after we find out her real identity, and she just becomes a little bit boring to me. But anyway, she's still a good villain. I don't think she's bad, but she's just not Syndrome.
Did you think it was obvious that it was Evelyn? Oh no.
Oh dear.
Connection problems again. Oh dear. Well, okay, in the event of this hangout not dragging on too long, I think we'll move on to you, Harry.
Oh, thanks, Ed. To quote Harry in The Order of the Phoenix, I've waited 14 years. I don't think I could wait any fucking longer.
Yeah. Now you understand why I used that in my review.
Oh yeah, in your intro, that was epic. Yeah, but Incredibles 2. This is more than an incredible sequel. It's a astonishing sequel. I mean, throughout the years, the one Pixar sequel that everybody has requested more than all the others is Incredibles 2. I'm like, we had Cars 2 in 2011, which sucked. I'm like, why didn't we have Incredibles 2 that year? And then we had Monsters University, which is a underrated prequel, but still no Incredibles 2. And then we had Finding Dory, which is a decent sequel, but still no Incredibles 2. And finally, in 2018, 14 years later, Incredibles 2 is here, and I'm going to say something controversial. I'm in the minority, but Incredibles 2, I liked it better than the first. Yep. I think it's the superior movie to the first Incredibles. But this is the best Pixar sequel since the Toy Story sequels, and
true. I think you're right. The best Pixar sequel since Toy Story 3. Also, you're not actually in the minority because a few of my friends actually thought that the second one was better. It's surprising. I don't quite agree, but I do agree this is an astonishing sequel. I mean, it is just wow,
Oh, totally. And awesome. Your friends loved it so much, also, and and I'm like, thank you, Brad Bird. This movie opened as I pictured it would open, with the Incredibles battling the Underminer from the "Behold the Underminer" cliffhanger. I'm like, Brad Bird, I could hug you, Buzzy. And then and then we have the opening battle with the Underminer, with Mr. Incredible's brief fight with the Underminer, and but the majority of the battle is the Incredibles and Frozone preventing the Underminer's drill from destroying the city. And this is the best opening to a Pixar movie I've ever seen. This is my favorite movie opening of 2018 in general. And
did you like the way it started with Dicker interrogating Tony about the incident, quote unquote, with him and Violet? I thought that was quite cool. And then when the title came up, Incredibles 2, and then bam, we're into the action scene. I thought that was excellently edited. Really well done.
Yeah, but that was awesomely edited. It was, and yeah, seeing Rick Dicker interview Tony as he was a witness. He spotted Violet in an Incredibles outfit. If I found out my girlfriend was a superhero, I would be overjoyed. I'm dating a superhero, and then
I wouldn't want my memory erased.
No, me neither. But sadly he has his memory erased to keep because of the superhero curfew, which sucks. And I felt ever so sorry for Violet throughout this movie, since her boyfriend's entirely forgotten all about her. So Violet has to start all over again with winning Tony's heart. I can see why she disowned superheroes from then on, and also, I absolutely love that characters from the first movie that felt underused finally gets more focus here, like Jack, especially Jack and Frozen, and Frozen has one other iconic moment similar to the first movie when he's like, "I'll be there ASAP," and then we hear Honey shout, "You better be back ASAP." I'm like, we still don't see his wife. Fingers crossed she'll finally physically appear in the third movie.
I think it's funnier that we don't see her, actually. I think it's nice that she's just a voice, but I think she should appear in the third. It should be a tradition. Every Incredibles movie, we should hear his wife's voice. I mean, who knows what we'll see in the third one. Maybe she'll have an even bigger rant in the third one.
Oh yeah, right. I can't wait for that. Yeah, fingers crossed. And also Jack, he has one of the movie's greatest moments where me and my mum agrees that this is one of the best moments in the entire movie, where he fights the raccoon. Oh, it's just classic. And after that, Bob's like, "You have powers, yeah, baby." It's awesome that this movie is Helen's story. She gets to be the kick-ass superhero out doing hero work for a change, and seeing Bob, become the father that he never got to be in the first film, and he's struggling with Violet's boyfriend issues and Dash's maths homework and keeping Jack under control. But this is super relatable for any parents who has gone through this. It goes to show that being a superhero can also mean being a parent.
The mode says it as well. Done properly, parenting is a heroic act. Done properly.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, Edna Mode has summed it up perfectly. And yeah, I was shocked that Edna Mode just had 2 scenes in this movie. So yeah, I predicted she'd have more, but she may have more the third movie. We'll see. And
to be fair, she had about 2 scenes in the first movie, I think.
Well, yeah. So yeah, she had similar screen time in this also, and I absolutely loved the characters of Winston Dever and Evelyn Dever of DevCorp and Haley.
Wait. Okay, so just to warn anyone, I'm actually multitasking while watching M. Night Shyamalan's masterpiece. Alright, but go on, Harry.
Oh yeah. the fact that this movie is finally doing something about the superhero banner with Winston Dever. He's a superhero. He's the biggest superhero fan ever, and he's determined to finally help them become accepted into society again. I'm like, finally they're resolving this, and the backstory with their parents being murdered because superheroes failed to save them at the time. It was heart-wrenching and deep.
I mean, there was no way they could have done because they were in hiding. All the lines had been cut off because superheroes were illegal.
Well, yeah, exactly. So it wasn't technically their fault, and if only the father had listened to the mother and gone to the safe room. But
although
exactly,
Winston seems to be sort of okay with that, he doesn't think that the safe room would have been the best option. Then again, I guess because he thought the robbers could have just followed them there. So who knows?
Yeah. Well, yeah, he seems to realise that superheroes weren't to blame, whereas Evelyn, on the other hand, that's another story. But I'll get to Evelyn later on, and the new superhero team in this movie, Void is my personal favorite, voiced by Sophia Bush, and Void, she's the friendly version of Syndrome, an Elastigirl fangirl who thankfully has a friendly bond with Helena throughout the movie, and not only is the animation. Sorry, Ollie.
I was just saying, yeah, I like Void. Yeah, she's cute. Yeah, I love the scene we first see her, and she's really awkward, and she's like, "Oh, I just want to thank you for being like, oh, come on, get yourself together, Karen." I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah, she's totally. She's adorable in each. Yeah, and not only is the animation superior in this movie, but the action sequences are up for me. Not just the opening battle with the Underminer, but Elastigirl chasing the train, exhilarating, and Elastigirl's intense as fuck showdown with the Screenslaver in the electronic room. Damn, they're full of tension. Also the moment where the goggled Void and the superhero team under the Screensaver's control, they literally they attempted to kidnap Violet and Dash in their home, and then you have the epic finale on the boat. This movie it felt like it went by even faster than the first movie, despite being the exact same running time. And now we come to the antagonist, the Screenslaver. I'm alone here, but I like the Screenslaver better than Syndrome. Yep. The Screenslaver is officially my favorite Pixar villain ever. I'm like, the Screenslaver is not only intimidating as fuck when he's like, supers are no longer in control, I am, but the twist that the Screenslaver turns out to be Evelyn. Everybody complains how it was predictable, but I never saw it coming personally. I predicted Winston was the Screenslaver instead, but
I do agree.
Yeah, but when it turned out to be Evelyn, I was like, damn. So
actually, wouldn't it have been interesting if it was both of them? That would have been really interesting.
I think that would have been. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because then again, though, he loves heroes. He loves superheroes, so it would have seemed really weird for him. But yeah, I guess it made sense that it was Evelyn.
Yeah, it makes sense that it was.
Yeah, but I thought it would have been Winston. Animat's review.
There is a shot where he's sort of sitting in the chair, talking on the phone to Elastigirl. He's throwing the little basketball up in the air, and he kind of sits as the villains would do. He's got his feet up on the desk, and you kind of just think, oh yeah, he's the bad guy, but clearly he's not.
So that twist caught me off guard, and it turns out that Evelyn, she entirely blames superheroes for the death of her parents, and she plans to just illegalize them just forever. And she has Elastigirl and Mr. Incredible and Frozone in her control. And but this entire finale kept me on my toes when it was up to Violet, Dash, and Jack to free everybody. I absolutely adored the resolution of the movie when superheroes are finally made legal again. Can't wait to see how that turns out in the first movie, where superheroes return and Violet and Tony finally get their dates. This movie, I have absolutely no flaws with it. It is a
Agreed.
Not even a little smidgy widgy.
Nope. It's a perfect sequel, and it was totally worth the 14-year wait. But this isn't the longest we've had to wait for a sequel. I mean, Return to Neverland was released 49 years after the original Peter Pan, and so we've waited longer.
Nobody really asked.
Well, the next sequel, hopefully, to wait more than a decade, is Legend of the Guardians 2, hopefully.
We shall see. Anyway, Harry, I'll let you finish. Sorry.
Totally. Incredibles 2. Yeah, this would be my. Oh, hey, Jack. Incredibles 2 would be my. It's my best picks. Yeah, this would be. This is a sequel that's even better than the original. It's my second favorite movie of the summer and of 2018, second only to Ocean's 8. So I'm going to wrap up by giving Incredibles 2 a incredible 10 out of 10 and 5 stars out of 5. Bring on Incredibles 3.
Woo! Also, Harry, where do you rank it in the Pixar movies?
It's my 5th favorite Pixar movie.
Oh, wow.
It's my number 1.
Okay, I'm aware that Jack had some connection issues earlier, so Jack, part 3. Hopefully this time you'll be able to finish your thoughts up.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh no.
Jack, part.
Jack, don't go. Oh, he's gone. Okay,
Well.
we're just going to move on. So, Jack, if you come back, and if you don't get back in time, oh, there you go. He's
Here,
back.
I'm here.
Okay,
Jack, part 4.
so, yeah, Jack, part 4.
Part 3. You hear me?
Yes, yeah. Do carry on.
I was gonna say, I was at the very end. Incredibles 2. I think the ending is where they see the city. You've got the sort of post credit, where you've got Violet. She finally goes to Tony, and they're in the car together, and they go into the cinema, and they see this robbery happening, and they wear masks. Tony, just go ahead, pay for the popcorn. I'll be back before the before the ads are over or whatever, and they drive off. That was quite a funny way to end the film. And
hello.
Are you kidding me?
Not again. Oh, Jack, you got to sort out your Wi-Fi, man. This is.
This is a load of bollocks.
I think the area where he lives seems to have very bad Wi-Fi.
It's a lot of fucking shit.
I know, right?
Anyway, I'm just going to continue because we need to wrap this up. So,
Yeah.
Incredibles 2. Wow. Well, it was a fucking long wait, and it was worth the wait. As I said in my review of Cars 3, it is very sad that Cars got to a trilogy before Incredibles got to 2 movies.
I know, right?
I do agree with that, because, the thing is, Incredibles came out first.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, I mean, anyway, we have it now, it's here, and it is really good. I'm so impressed with this film. I mean, it's
Hopefully the Incredibles 3 will come out.
Yeah, hopefully. I think it's it's definitely one of the best Pixar movies in recent years. It's very good. I don't quite rank it as highly as I would have liked to, but there's just so many Pixar movies that are so good, so it's very hard. But I'm glad that this one joins the rest of them as being so good. I think it delivers everything you want and more. Is it perfect? No, not quite, but it gets more right than it does wrong, and I can't help. I never forget the first time I saw this film. I went with a huge group of people, and we all loved it. We had a huge smile on my face throughout the film, and then coming out of it, I couldn't believe it. It was so good. It was so fucking good. I mean, I think the story for this is pretty tremendous. Oh, hi, Jack.
I'm just going to close off by saying I'm going to give it a 9.
Sure.
Below the first. So I'm sorry for the connection issues. It's really pissing me off.
Yeah, you might want to talk to your Wi-Fi provider, bud.
I have, but it's Sky. They're a load of shit. Sky.
Oh, yeah, no, don't do it, Sky. Change. I would recommend BT if you can.
Yeah, well, I don't. My dad doesn't have the money to pay for it. So all I have to say is, anyone out there who's thinking of getting Wi-Fi, don't bother with Sky. They're absolute shit.
We'll keep that in mind. Anyway, where was I? Incredibles 2. The story is really good, and I think it was a great idea to deliver on what the fans wanted by starting the film directly where the first one ended, when the Incredibles had to fight the Underminer. I thought it was interesting how the film began with Dicker interrogating Tony about the quote-unquote incident with Violet, which was really cool. And then, bam, he gets his memory erased, which was shocking. And then the title comes up, and then bam, we're into the action scene. That action scene is fucking incredible. Literally, it's incredible. I mean, the Underminer doesn't really stay on screen for very long, but what he has is pretty good. And then it's more about the family trying to stop the drill from going into City Hall, and it's such an awesome sequence to watch. And I think the story is great. How the family are. I mean, the stakes are, I suppose, are a bit higher in Incredibles 2 because the family are sort of on the verge of being thrown out on the street. They've got 2 weeks left in a motel. Their house has been destroyed. They've got nothing. Their basic superheroes are illegal, so they have to sort of hide away. And this incident with the Underminer hasn't really helped. And Dicker's program has been shut down. So literally, they're on the verge of basically living on the street. But thankfully, Winston Dever sort of saves them, really. He kind of saves their asses. And enlists Helen Elastigirl to kind of change the people's perceptions on supers. And I think it's really clever the way they chose to do that, have the role reversal. I mean, because structurally, the Incredibles movies have a similar flow. Like, they focus mainly on one character, but the other characters kind of get focused, but they kind of join in more to the main events towards the end. And I think that's what happens with this film as well as the first one, except this time Helen is the main character, excuse me, doing all these missions, whereas Bob has to stay at home with the kids. Although what this film does, different to the first one, this film kind of puts more emphasis on the stay-at-home stuff rather than the first one. I think there was a lot of focus placed on Bob in the first one and his what was syndrome, focus with Elastigirl here. But it's nice to see Bob struggling to be a dad in this one, trying to essentially make up for everything that happened in the first one. Because he was kind of neglecting his family in the first one. He's got to deal with 3 kids, and these aren't 3 normal kids. They are 3 super kids. I mean, but as Harry said, I mean, any parent could relate to this. I mean, you've got Violet, who's the adolescent teenager who's meant to be going on a date with Tony, unaware of the fact that Tony has had his memory erased, and doesn't find that out till pretty late in the day. So his relationship with his daughter kind of gets a bit rocky. And then you have Dash, who's struggling with his homework, and so he's trying to learn the new math method. And then he's also struggling with this super baby, who's got a multitude of powers that are inexplicable. So you sort of feel sorry for Bob in this film. He's trying to be a good dad, but he's struggling. he's really struggling. It is quite funny as well, and it's quite sweet to see him. You know, there's a moment when Dash and Jack fall asleep, and he carries them upstairs. I thought that was a lovely little moment. And also, there's a scene with him and Violet when he apologizes for what he did in the restaurant and everything else, and she says, "Oh, you're not good. You're super." I thought she was going to say, "You're incredible," but then again, that would have been ironic. But so that stuff's really good. And you know, God, the three kids are good in this film as well. And I mean, especially Jack. I mean, is there nothing this baby can't do? I mean, the fight with the raccoon is certainly a highlight. I mean, I wonder if people have said on YouTube and online that it's kind of ironic because it provokes their minds to think of Rocket Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy. So people were saying, "Oh, this is Guardians of the Galaxy 3," which is funny.
They're even saying that about Lego Movie too.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so the fight with the raccoon is hilarious. I mean, it comes out of nowhere. It's just so weird, but I mean, the fact that...
Even in the poster.
Yeah, I mean, that Jack... Yeah, he is actually. Yeah, you're right. When the Jack looks at the TV, at the thief stealing the thing, and then he looks at the raccoon, it just kind of like, you know, he knows that the raccoon's stealing, so he just goes to face him. And it's just, I mean, it's such a random fight, but the fact that Pixar thought, well, you know, let's just have this crazy scene with Jack fighting a raccoon. It's just, the audacity of it is just bold and audacious, and I love that. And I think the fight is hilarious, especially then when Bob comes outside. You think he would actually tell off his son, but no, he says, "Oh, you have powers, yeah, baby," and you know, I love that he gets excited about that, which is great. But I also like the main story, obviously, with Helen doing all the missions and you know, going after the screenslaver, as they call him, or well, I should say. But, yeah, that was cool. And I like the character of Winston Dever. I think he's a cool guy. He's a really nice guy. He loves superheroes. He's very keen to get the world to see that they need superheroes. And then there's his sister, Evelyn, who obviously turns out to be the real screenslaver. I mean, my one problem with the film, which stops it from being perfect, is not necessarily the screenslaver itself, but kind of just the way it was handled. The fact that the screenslaver was basically set up and then revealed as a twist, that didn't work for me. It was so obvious to me that it was Evelyn. I mean, even her name, Evil Endeavor. It sounds like Evil Endeavor. You know, her name is Evelyn Dever, Evil Endeavor. It's not hard to kind of put two and two together. And then she says that line, which I swear is a goddamn giveaway. You know, when they catch the pizza guy, and then Helen says, "Oh, you're a genius." She says, "Oh, shucks, I'm just the genius behind the genius." If that line isn't a giveaway, I don't know what is. That line,
just like you said hours ago.
Yeah, exactly. I said it to Lee earlier. That is a total giveaway. So I knew then. I thought,
and you even said it the exact same way as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because I had that reaction when I watched the film the first time. I thought, yeah, it's definitely Evelyn. I mean, there's no question of a doubt. But still, I mean, that's sort of the only major problem. I like her motivations. I think it makes sense. I mean, it's kind of basic, and I mean, it's been done before the death of the parents, etc. But I think it works well for Evelyn. I think it's good. But I felt Syndrome was a slightly stronger villain in the first one. But still, the film is fantastic. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the action sequences. The Underminer fight at the beginning was great, as well as the sequence with the hover train, where Helen has to stop the train.
Yeah, that scene is amazing.
That was incredible, and it's a shame that the bike got destroyed though. That's kind of a homage to the Bond movies. Like when James Bond gets a new car, every film he destroys it. You know, it just happens. You know, it's just a tradition. So that was good. And I like her fight with the screenslaver, well, the pizza guy, in the I don't know what it's called, kind of the little you know, the little room with the lights. That was well done. And of course the action sequence in the house when the house gets attacked by the heroes who are goggle-eyed, I'll just call it. That was really fun. That was excellent. As well as the final battle on the boat. That was awesome. I particularly loved the music in that fight when all the heroes come back and then they have to fight and they have to take the goggles off the heroes. That was great. It goes da 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 dun 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 da 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 da. That was just so good. That was really good. Michael Giacchino once again does an amazing soundtrack. Not quite as good as the first soundtrack, but still very good. And you know it's alive and it's kicking. It's very good. I think I also like the restaurant scene. That was funny. Every time I've seen The Incredibles 2 in the cinema, there's been a lot of laughter. Everybody seems to find this one funny, and I agree. I think it's funnier than the first one. I think all of the stuff with Bob is very funny.
Wait, you saw the movie more than once in the cinema?
Yeah, I've seen it about 3 times.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, I mean
it is so good. I do agree.
Yeah. But yeah, and also Frozone gets more to do, which is great. But it's quite funny seeing Bob get to his sort of tired, decrepit state, you know, where he's like, oh, Cha-Cha, I want a cookie, You know, he gets really sort of tired and run down. And there's also there's a funny moment when he can't sleep. He's like mumbling to himself and he's going, oh, wait for Mom. Right. No, and I love it when he's just mumbling. I think that's funny. And yeah, I think it's just such an exciting film. It's just very spectacular. The pacing is pretty good for the most part. It's a 2-hour film. It moves like rocket. I mean, it really moves. I appreciate all the emotional stuff as well. When the action is there, it's there. The ending is very nice too when they finally arrest Evelyn Dever, and you know, Winston takes it rather well actually, and then Violet goes on a date with Tony. That was good. And the ending, how she basically shoves him out the car and says, you know, buy me a small soda punch, you know, I'll be back for the previews. And then they go out and fight crime. Again, they'd stop the robbers. I mean, technically, this doesn't really end on a cliffhanger, which I think is good. You know, they didn't want to do the same as the first one, because then people would just say, when's the third one? When's the third one coming out? Although people are going to say that anyway. So, you know, they should be prepared for that either way.
Yeah.
But also, there's a lot of new characters in this film, like all the new supers. The one that obviously stands out the most, as we mentioned, is Void. I like Void. I think she's really cute. She's cool, and she's sort of this awkward teenager who's kind of like this sort of fangirl of Elastigirl. But she proves to be very useful in the end. She sort of opens up portals and in sort of interdimensional portals. That's interesting. I like that. You've also got, I think, the electric guy, the guy who does the electrical current thing. You got, what's his name? The Crusher guy. And then Reflux, who's the old man. And there's a few others. Brick, who's the big Brick. I love the line when Elastigirl says, oh, you know, where are you from? Wisconsin. I thought that was quite funny. So they were cool. They were nice additions. It's a fantastic film. It really is a fantastic sequel. It was worth the 14-year wait. And I mean, if they're going to do a third one, don't make it 14 years, please. Long enough. You gave us 3 Cars movies in between the 2 Incredibles films, so come on, you know, give us the third one a bit sooner. But
give us a
But yeah, no, I mean, it's still out now, so if you haven't seen The Incredibles 2, you are missing out. Go and see it. It's a Pixar classic. It's so funny. And also, Edna Mode is great in this film. It's nice to see her
She's
back.
hilarious.
All I have to say...
Don't you have special powers? Don't you?
All I have to say is, you know the way they say Sky, believe in better? Well, when it comes to my Wi-Fi, all I have to say is Sky, believe in shitter.
Well, yeah, I don't blame you. Funny you should say that. There's actually an advert with Sky, the Sky Wi-Fi broadband advert, actually with The Incredibles in it. Has anyone seen that?
Yep.
I think I have.
Yeah, and it says, "Oh, see Disney Pixar Incredibles 2 in cinemas now."
I saw that before the film started. All I have to say is their fucking Wi-Fi is incredible. Far from it, it's a piece of shit.
Yeah, but anyway, I thought it was very cool how they managed to sort of stop the boat as well from going into Unisberg. How Bob had to go underwater and turn the rudder. Frozone had to make a little wave of ice to stop the boat from going then and there. That was exciting stuff, and I think it's great. It's just a great ending. Well, it could be a sort of an ending to the Incredibles, but I'd like them to do one more. I'd like them to do a third film, at least. You know, a trilogy I think is deserved, especially after.
Well, yeah. Well, I just don't know. Like right now, I'll say maybe, but we just have to wait and see because they've said. Like what I just searched up a few minutes ago, nothing has been said really. But
originally, Brad Bird had said in an interview that we didn't really make any comments. He just said he wanted people to see the second film first and enjoy that. But since the second one has done really well, he's said, you know, we might do Incredibles 3. So, you know, he's open to the idea. I think he will do it. It will happen eventually. The studio are going to want more money anyway, aren't they? So they'll
that's Disney.
Years or so. But yeah, anyway, I mean, that's sort of my closing thoughts. I really love this film, and it's a great addition to the Incredibles. It's a great continuation after the first one. It's a great addition to the Pixar movies, and it's just a ton of fun, and it's got some great heart. It did everything it set out to do and more. My only gripe is the whole reveal of the screenslaver, the whole twist.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah, that doesn't really work for me. But I like the concept of the screenslaver and you know, Evelyn.
I love the fight scene with Elastigirl where she sees all the masks. That has that horror feel to it, and then it cuts to the big fight scene. The fight scene is just so scary though, but it's so good.
It certainly is. I absolutely agree.
This film contains flashing images. Yeah, it definitely does contain that flashing image.
Yeah. Anyway, also one scene which no one else has mentioned is the scene with the ambassador when the ambassador is being ambushed in the helicopter. I thought.
Oh yeah.
And the music there was great. You know, Michael Giacchino really sort of amped up the brass there. But yeah, I'm gonna close off my thoughts on Incredibles 2 by scoring it a 9 out of 10, a very strong 9 out of 10. Not quite a 10. If the villain was better. Slightly better, it would be a 10, but still, it's
seal of approval along with a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd say thumbs up all the way. Yeah, go.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, well, that pretty much concludes it. Our thoughts on The Incredibles 1 and 2.
Wait, hang on, wait. Could we do like a quiz? Well, like what movies we'd like to do for Ollie next week? Like what we could do after this.
We've let this hang out long enough. We've been on for nearly like 4 hours, so we need to close off now.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, what we could do next time.
We can discuss that outside the hangout. It's 5 to 11. I need to go. So
I was gonna say I didn't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
I didn't think it'd be 4 hours. Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't meant to be a long hangout, but then again, Alan joined us late, and then we had to.
Yeah, I get. Yeah.
Jack, so
it happens, Ollie, and you're well organized as well, Ollie. Like you do a better job setting these up than I do, and you actually get tips off you for my streams. I mean, I want to try do something like this. I kind of want to do something like this before school starts. That's what I really want to do.
Well, that's a bit ambitious.
I think.
Anyway, so just to close off, briefly, Jack, before your connection runs out, what do you think of the two films together?
Well, all I have to say is the sky is not fucking high for. Sky isn't the limit for this piece of shit Wi-Fi. Yeah, I mean, overall, my connection of the connection, Jesus. I mean, actually, my connection is fine now, thank God. But I got it finally to stop. But yeah, talking about The Incredibles, overall, I think both films are great. I slightly prefer the first one, just because I think the first it's more original, and plus I prefer the villain syndrome, and it's the first film, and it's very hard to top.
Yeah, I can see why you would prefer the original over a sequel. Like, I can sort of get what you mean. Like, I get what you're trying to say.
And as for Incredibles 2, it's a very good sequel. All I will say is, I just think the villain, the screenslaver, could have been better. I mean, I don't think she's bad, but I think, like, the beginning is great where we don't know who it is, but then after that, when we find out who she is, it's just kind of she's just kind of an ordinary person. She's just kind of herself, and it's just not. She's not that compelling after we find out who the screenslaver is. So, and also we could add a bit more of a final fight. But apart from that, it's very good. So I'll give it a 9 out of 10. So, yeah, overall out of 20, I'd give it 19 out of 20. Yeah.
So, Lee, what do you think of the two films together, and how do you rate them out of 20, adding up your scores?
I'd give them. Okay, so I will say, both of them are fantastic movies. They're great superhero movies, and I love everything about them. I find it funny that you guys give the sequel a 9 because of the villain, and I have the exact same thing with the first one. So what a coincidence! But so yeah, I'd probably give them about 19 because I give the first a 9, so I think I'll give them a 19 out of 20. But they're masterpieces. That's what I'm gonna say. Incredibles 2 would be my favorite Pixar film. Second, Coco. 3, Cars 3. 4, Cars, and then 5, The Incredibles 1.
Cool. So, Harry, what do you think of both the films, and how do you rank them? Well, not rank them. Sorry. How do you total up your scores?
Sure, I'm a little more generous to these movies than you all. The first Incredibles at the time was one of Pixar's most incredible standalone movies, but with the sequel, it turned out to be one of Pixar's most incredible franchises. With the sequel even better than the original. Unpopular opinion, but that's just me. And just bring on Incredibles 3 Pixar already. If Cars can be a trilogy, if Toy Story can be a trilogy, so can Incredibles. And so I'm going to rank Incredibles 1 and 2. Since I rated both a 10, I'd rate them 20 out of 20.
Awesome.
I was gonna say though, if just to agree with Harry there, because I know that all he wants to say is thing and then wrap it up. Just quickly, all I'll say is, if they had the teaser at the end with them going after the criminals and kind of recreating the ending of the first one, I hope they do a third one, because it's like, what's the point of teasing the next film if you're not going to do it? Let's not wait 14 fucking years for another sequel.
Completely agree with you, Jack.
Yeah.
Completely agree. What's the whole point of putting in a cliffhanger?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of, it's not really a cliffhanger like The Underminer. It's not one that you kind of need to see resolved. It would be nice to see it, but if it's not resolved, they'll probably just forward a few years. And I think that's probably what they might do, and they might focus more on the kids.
And would you agree, we don't want another 14 years for the sequel?
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. I don't want to wait another 14 years, and I don't think we will have to wait that long. I think it will probably be about, at the earliest, probably about 5 years, maybe. But it depends.
It's done really well at the ball.
Maybe 4.
Yeah, because I know Pixar have got some other projects. They've got Toy Story 4 now. And then they've got like 4 original films.
All I have to say is fuck Toy Story 4. Bring on.
Yeah, agreed.
Anyway, I've got to wrap it up. As for me,
yeah, fair enough.
I much agree with you guys for the most part. The Incredibles films are both fantastic. I mean, they're really, really good. I mean, and they pay homage to those old classic superhero films and comics, and also James Bond as well in a weird way. They're very stylistic. I think they're some of Pixar's most stylized films in a way. They have this sort of old school kind of feel, but yet they feel very fresh, which is interesting. Both the first and the second film, and I think they stand together as a great duology at this current moment in time. And I love the characters, the stories, the villains, the heroes, the music, the locales, everything. It's beautifully done, and I think they're classics, and I think both of them can be watched from beginning to end again and again. I mean, the first one came out 14 years ago, and it still holds up to this day. And I'm sure in 14 years' time, the second one will still have that impact. So I'm gonna rate the films, obviously, because I gave them both 9. I give them 18 out of 20, which is the lowest score of us all. But
What?
that isn't actually
You know,
that low.
It's still pretty good, Harry. It's only 2 off 20.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, no, it is the lowest out of you lot, but it is only 2 away from full marks. So they've done a very good job. So,
It's not like you gave them both 0 out of 20.
no, I gave both of them a 9. So that's still a very good. So both very strong 9s. So 9 and 10 scores are sort of what I aim for, really. Like they're really good. So yeah, I mean, bring on Incredibles 3. And yeah, regarding Toy Story 4, which is the next Pixar film, I'm not going to say fuck it because I want to give it a chance.
Oh, Toy Story 4. I want to see Legend of the Guardians 2 from Hollywood.
Yeah, I will give Toy Story 4 a chance, but I'm not hopeful.
Well, me too. I do the every animated movie of the year thing. You know what Animat does?
Yeah. But no, I mean, I can understand, if some people might be looking forward to it, fair enough. But
I'm not going to give it a chance. I mean, 9 years after the last one, it's like, and the third one was a perfect ending, so I stand by. Fuck it.
Fair enough. But
Jack.
he's gone.
Oh, he's on mute.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think me and Harry will agree that also we'll probably, I mean, I'll give it a chance. I'll see what it's like, but I don't expect it to be very good. But we'll see. The trailers might surprise us. If they genuinely believe that they have a good idea that will be as good as the first 3, then okay, go for it. But
It's not going to be a straight up continuation, though.
no, it's going to be the unnecessary film that we don't need. It would be like one film too many.
No, the thing, though, the bad
Oh,
thing is...
you just reminded me of something, Ollie. Oh,
they're
I remember
making-
seeing a review for, and one said one Shrek too many.
No, I was going to say, Toy Story, they're going to do a Toy Story 5 and 6 as well, so... oh, fuck.
The new trilogy. Yeah, well, we'll see. They can always change their minds. If Toy Story 4 flops, then they'll probably leave it alone. But
Screw Toy Story 4. I'll give it a rant in 2009.
Yeah. It'll be the teen fuckers go to the movies of 2019.
Yeah.
if I had a choice between Toy Story 4 and the Lion King remake, I would have to choose Toy Story 4.
Me too.
That's two evils.
Totally with you. Lion King remake will be the worst of 2019.
Oh, God.
And Dragon 3 will be the best of 2019, hopefully.
Along with Bond 25, hopefully.
All I have to say is you can put back in the box and close it forever, please.
Well, that pretty much concludes this hangout on the Incredibles films. So, unless anyone wants to say anything else, I think we should call it a night.
All I have to say is you haven't got a friend in me, Pixar, for Toy Story 4.
Oh, Jack, you're actually so funny.
You've got a foe in me. You got trouble.
Wait,
Waiting for you.
Jack.
Yeah.
You know the way you were saying you shouldn't do a cliffhanger, like if you're not going to do a sequel?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Zack Snyder's Legend of the Guardians?
No, but I saw all he reviewed it. Anyway, I think we have to close off.
Yeah. Okay, so
Fair enough.
thank you guys for watching and listening. Good night for now.
Good night.